All right.
Behind the house. Can you pull a cluster?
Nope, nope. It's called Diablo, sir. And what is up, guys? It is your It is your boy Forte, and we're here for episode 137 of the DPS podcast, damage per second. That is, I'm one of your co-hosts, the homie Gaming Forte. We also have the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man that literally just came back from vacation and wants to talk about all the stuff over the past week with you guys. Slumber Backslap, what's going on, man?
Yo, what up, what up? And to clarify what I'm saying to the people that like, Slow-Mo doesn't like Diablo 4, I like Diablo 4. I'm playing the heck out of it. What I meant to say, as we were discussing this before the show went live, is that we need to update our intro with games that we currently play right now, because it's like 90% of games that like we used to play that we don't play anymore. So you know, to not look fraudulent, we're gonna start updating the intro with games we do play. But I don't think Diablo 4 kind of like shows too well in like an intro. You know, like you're looking at an intro and it's got like great music, and then it's like some isometric view, little tiny character, you know, doing spells and crap. It's just like that don't work.
Right.
That does not work.
Just do it, bro.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no. And with that, I want to welcome two of our amazing special guests that we have here on the show. Really not special guests. They're pretty much family at this point when it comes to this show. Agent Deli, my favorite ex-Ubisoft developer. Wish you still worked there. And you probably had a lot to do with some of the stuff that they showed at that showcase. What's going on with you, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me here. I'm always blessed to be here and always blessed to be able to talk games. And of course, joined by the great Ash and Luca as well, too. You know, Luca Teal.
What's up,
favorite.
boo?
Yeah, what's up, baby?
Yeah, man, that's my assassin slash and Luca right there.
Yeah, that's it.
I told you that's how it's going.
I was going to say, like, you guys say that when she comes on. I completely forgot, but I'm glad you remembered.
The assassin slash and Luca. Let's go.
Oh man, that is so funny. But it's really good to have you guys on. First of all, your opinions on things are so unique and different from everyone else's, and I think that's really going to bring a different dynamic, especially on the show where we got so much to talk about. The Xbox showcase, the Ubisoft showcase, the aftermath of that, Starfield deep dive, Embracer Group embracing failure, all kinds of stuff. Is just like, you know, it's a lot to get into, so we're going to, you know, definitely do that.
Yeah, definitely. So, man, this show's about to be. I don't want this show to be 4 hours long. I don't even want it to be 2.5 hours long. So
can I talk about my vacation now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sir, you're the reason we're doing the show today. So anybody knows we usually do it on Thursday. We're doing it on Friday because Slow Mo was hanging with the family. So he's going to tell you how that all went. How's
And I
hanging with your
actually
real family
did.
doing,
I
Slow
actually
Mo?
did spend time with my family. I know some of y'all was all like, "Man, Slow Mo be all over Twitter all the time. I don't even know he on vacation." I was on vacation. Okay, I was tweeting from the beach. Okay,
He was.
from the beach. You know, got a tan, and I was tweeting. Same thing, same time. Okay. I had a good time though. I had a good time. The family had a good time. Driving there and back was it was about 6 hours, 6.5 hours down there, but on the way back because of rush hour and stuff like that, it was about 7.5. So I was pretty exhausted last night, which is part of the reason why we couldn't do it last night. And I just like we kind of looked into it like a week ago. It was like, probably shouldn't. Like I mean I would have. I got home before we would have went live, but I probably would have been wasted. Like I literally slept for a good minute and then got up and played some Final Fantasy 16 demo. So
As you
it was
should.
good to be able to do it tonight instead of doing it last night. So it's you guys can get a energized slow mo and not a half dead slow mo.
Oh man, that's definitely what they came for. They definitely wanted to. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. But
What?
with that, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
I don't know where that was.
Yeah,
going.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
no
Listen,
idea.
be respectful of your elders. That's what I'm being right now. So, with that
Who
being
is your
said,
elder? You the oldest person here.
no, you're actually older than me, sir.
I am not older than you. What are you talking about?
Why are you so? Is there something wrong with you being older?
I'm not older than you. You're like 2 years older than me. So I don't know.
Okay, well, you can't got to prove it. All right, so let's just get into these topics, man. It's all about Xbox, all about Ubisoft. Nobody cares about Capcom.
Yeah, that show was trash.
Nobody cares about Capcom.
They should have just
So
not
we
did that
just
at
go
all.
let that thing live at the bottom of the ocean. Nobody cares about that. So let's talk about some of the biggest things. We're gonna go right out the door. Starfield is massive, but runs at 30 frames per second on Series X and S. We already know it's gonna probably run well. Hopefully, it runs better on PC and they don't lock it to 30 frames per second over there. But how are we? So it's been a lot of conversation around
they're
this
not
on
going
Twitter.
to.
They're not going because they know it's going to be a
You
problem.
didn't have to say that, buddy.
It's
They're
going to
not
be a
doing that.
problem. It's going to be a problem if they do that. So I'm going to go to my homie Ash and Luca. She actually made a video about this. So Luca, please, first of all, great video, by the way. Really
Thank
love
you,
the
sir.
energy and everything. Please tell me, what was your takeaway from this being a thing once
Well,
again?
Well, honestly speaking, listen, I'm not gonna lie. Throughout the entirety of their Starfield showcase, which was excellent, by the way, really great time to sit there and watch all the mechanics, see a little taste of what we'll be getting later on this year. It was great, but throughout the entirety of the showcase, I kept saying, "So what's the frame rate gonna be? So what's the frame rate gonna be?" And when they didn't announce the frame rate at the end of the showcase, I realized, like, I feel like a lot of us from at least a couple months ago have just been sitting there, like, looking at each other, like, oh, it's definitely going to be 30 frames. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I just kept repeating it. And then Todd came out, one of my favorite liars. Todd came out and he confirmed that it's going to be 30 frames per second. And then Phil came and said that it's not a hardware limitation, it's a creative choice. And so, there's been a lot of debate back and forth about it. And for some interesting reason, 30 frames is now okay to a lot of people, which I feel like some people are changing their tune a bit. I
Wasn't okay 2
understand.
months ago.
I understand that these conversations are nuanced and there's a lot that can go into it. But when a lot of people are so black and white in their thinking and how they express themselves when it comes to their viewpoints, it's difficult for me to take them seriously when it comes to this concept of them suddenly changing their mind about this. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are using the same outdated rhetoric and arguments when it comes to this, saying, well, you guys are okay with the Switch and games running at 30 on the Switch. But the issue really comes down to the fact that the Switch is old as dust and
Older than dust.
And
older than dust,
nobody was
truly.
expecting a Switch to run 4K. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, Anybody
Exactly.
with half a brain could understand that what it's for.
Yeah. So,
We
and
also
not
didn't
only
get
that,
any devs coming out and saying it's a creative choice. Like there's zero devs from Nintendo came out and said that about Tears of the Kingdom. It was a creative choice to make it 30.
that's
There
because
wasn't a choice.
they don't talk to
Well,
talk
well, I
to
mean,
They
media
can't
like
talk.
that.
They can't
true.
talk with a
They
gun to
don't.
their head, bro.
True,
I mean, respectfully, you know what I
but the
mean?
thing is that like we know it's not strictly a hardware issue. Although hardware definitely is a part of it, it's not strictly a hardware issue. They made the choice to just lock it to 30 when they could have done more. Maybe they could have gone with 40 FPS with VRR on, and to get like kind of like a higher, a little bit higher frame rate with a smoother
I mean, like,
experience if you
yeah,
have
but
a
then you would alienate
display
the
to do
people
that.
who don't have
Uh,
VRR,
but
right?
hey, alienate them brokies.
I mean, I
AR,
don't have VRR on mine, so if you're
So
telling me
rude.
if you're telling me that like I'm
maybe all right.
the performance option is only accessible if you have a TV that is capable of VRR, I mean, I feel like that's pretty anti-consumer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
that's not really a good marketing play. Yeah. Um but yeah, so like a lot of people seem to be changing their tune, which is whatever, but it sparked a lot of back and forth. Me personally, I think it's an L, regardless. It really comes down to this. You know, Microsoft marketed the Xbox Series X as a 60 frame machine, you know? We're seeing frame rates we've never seen before on consoles, you know
Man.
what I'm saying?
The highest quality pixels.
The
Like
highest quality pixels.
and
Eats
they have
monsters for breakfast,
and now
lunch,
they
and
have
dinner.
one of the most anticipated games of the generation, I feel,
Yeah, yeah, the
coming out
decade.
at
Yeah.
30 frames per second, which like, Todd, he was like, this is he was all like, this is like, oh, I'm really excited about launch. This is like the most smooth a launch that we can imagine. I'm like, well, I definitely understand that because you wanted to come out with this last year, but um,
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's an L personally. I understand, like, based on all the arguments I've seen back and forth, and then I watched Digital Foundry's video and everything. Like, I understand why it's running at 30. I just think it's an L. And there are a couple people who think that like devs are actually going to start just releasing their games at 30 frames per second and it's going to be fine, but it's like, no,
Hmm.
it's not fine. It's not okay. And again, it comes down to them marketing the Xbox specifically as a 60 frames machine, you know? And now
Hmm.
it's like we don't even get the option to switch between the two, and it sucks. And that's why I'm playing on PC. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, I would like to play it on my Xbox, but I'm not. If I have the option to, I would prefer 60 and up because at the
Right.
end of the day, it just comes down to preference. Like I can play a game at 30, that's not a problem. Um, but I have a preference, and that preference is 60, and I have the option. I don't It's not one of those you don't have a choice sort of things like playing Bloodborne would be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
There's only one choice there.
Yeah.
uh,
Deli, what are your thoughts
yeah,
on this,
Deli.
man?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, pretty much in line with lose. I mean, like, I would just say that, like, to me, I think the stylistic choice. I think I understand it a lot more, right? And if you guys want, we can go into that. But I understand a lot more, and I'm not necessarily hurt by it. Chances are I probably will pick it up on PC because I do have a preference and I prefer the smoothest playing gameplay. But I'm not going to be hurt if I am locked at 30 or if like that's the choice that I actively make by saying like, let me go buy an Xbox and I'm going to play Starfield at 30 because I prefer the console experience, or I prefer to sit down on my bed or on the couch upstairs or whatever. I'm not going to be too terribly hurt by it, and I don't think I've ever been really hurt by 30 FPS games in general. I mean, I played Redfall and I played that under 30 FPS for at least 50% of the game. So,
Mm.
but I do understand that the marketing talk is kind of bogus and everything like that. I do think that they set themselves up for failure. I think they talked a little too early about what was possible because statistically on a spreadsheet, it is possible, right? You're going from basically a 2 teraflop machine to a 12 teraflop machine. You're looking at statistically 6x, 6x in the performance. You're looking at, 10x the performance and memory bandwidth. You're looking at all this extra stuff. And on a spreadsheet, it looks fantastic. It looks great. And you look at your talents of your teams and you're like, you know, they were able to push, I don't know, 60 FPS on the Xbox One or whatever it may be. And again, comparing and contrasting, you can definitely make that call and say, yes, our team can do this. Our company, our publishing team, our whatever it is, our ecosystem can definitely push something like this. But when it comes down to the actual, again, I've been talking about this for a long time, the actual communication between game studios and Microsoft, I think when it came down to it, I think that communication is months behind, and I think that ultimately ended up what was happening with Starfield. Now, if Microsoft made it more of an apparent push and said, "Hey, this has to be 60 FPS," then I'm sure that Todd would have had a different answer for us on stage. Whereas if Microsoft said, chances are, Todd, make the best game that's possible, make Starfield great, and let's say it came down to it, and this is a real world example, by the way. Like we've had this conversation at Ubisoft, but if Todd probably is holding a meeting and he wants to allocate the most of the frame time to the more important things, right? And allocate less frame time for the less important things. So obviously what's less or more important is varying depending on the game. So, and it's not just based on the genre, but specific desired style or feel or features of that game, right? And we all know Starfield is supposed to be a gigantic game. So let's say that Starfield is focusing on extreme realism and world simulation with the sandwiches, player dynamics with the dialogue trees, flight physics, well, with the ships, VFX for combat, which apparently there's a lot of combat in the game. That would want more time than something like AI. So the team may be willing to sacrifice more frame time there, or more just in general resources there. So a more arcadey, less serious Starfield game might not care so much about that stuff, and might end up wanting to spend more time on rendering fancier particle effects or graphics to get more action or whatever. And then we have a game like The Outer Worlds, where it compromises on a few realism aspects of things to squeeze out more style. And I think that most AAA games probably fit in these two kinds of choices. Either they want complex game simulations and want to dedicate the lion's share of frame time and resources to those kinds of stuff, or they won't and will instead prefer to dedicate that time, graphics, mechanics, whatever it may be, resources, to the player experience, which again, 60 FPS is part of the player experience. But one's got to give, and you can't have both. So
Yeah. Now, I mean, I listened to Todd's words, and he talked about the fidelity of the game, and that he didn't want to compromise the fidelity of the game in order to reach 60 frames per second. I got a lot of thoughts about that.
yeah, go.
I mean, it's his game, right? He's the director, so he can do whatever he wants with this game, with his game. But I think comes a point in time where I think some developers need to understand that you're not making the game for you, you're making the game for other people. And even though you don't want to compromise your game's fidelity, you got to recognize that there are people who don't mind a slightly lesser pretty game, or a game that doesn't have quite the bells and whistles that you intended for it to have, in order to achieve that frame rate. That might not be your preferred method of playing the game, but you're not the consumer, Todd. You are the developer, and if you know there are people who would like to play the game in a certain way, sure,
Well, I'm sure that
PC
they
is
have.
is an option. But
I'm sure they have metrics for that, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Guarantee they do.
At Ubisoft, we had metrics on how long you spent times in the menus. So Mo, if I looked at your division, information, I would know how long you spent in cutscenes. I would know how long you spent talking to an NPC. I would know how long you sat in the menu for in the start screen. I would know which buttons you pressed in order to skip certain cutscenes. I know which performance mode or which quality mode. Like, there are metrics for that. And if the metrics dictate that 60 FPS isn't that big of a deal, then Todd probably pulled that. I mean, he at the end of the day is the one that makes the final decisions on a lot of this stuff. So if this is the quote unquote Starfield that he wanted to make, then I mean, I can't. I mean, I will continue to complain about it whenever, but
Right.
I think
I
that
mean, if he's gonna
it's
play it,
selfish, right?
if he's gonna play it, what system is he playing it on? Is what I
Yeah,
want to ask.
I bet you he's playing it on PC.
PC, baby.
like all four of us are going to be playing it on
Yeah,
PC.
chances are,
you
yeah,
know?
for sure.
Yeah. So and I think and for me, like, and you guys know this about me. I'm not a big fan of Bethesda RPGs anyway. So for me, like, I think the showcase was still impressive, even though as I was watching it, I knew the fact that they didn't announce that it would be running also in 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X and S in the very beginning. I said like a while ago, I said that like when you want to kind of like present bad news, you try to basically soften it with all the great things that you're providing, and then you hit them with the bad news.
No, you
later
just
on.
don't
So
announce it during the showcase. You wait till after it interviews.
right, or you do it at the end after you show them all this amazing stuff. And by
Yeah.
the way, it's just going to be at 30 frames live. But look at all the amazing things we're doing. So you don't say it in the beginning, you say it at the end, or you say it for a later on interview. Which halfway through the showcase, I was like, it's definitely 30 frames per second. But
Mm-hmm.
as I was seeing what I was seeing, I was just like, all right, like I'm gonna give this a shot, and maybe I probably won't like it because I'm not really into those like the Bethesda style of Western RPGs. But I will give it a solid shot. I think the game looks amazing, and I think that what they're trying to achieve with it is pretty awesome.
Right.
That's it. It's just that it's it's a Xbox put themselves in this position, not necessarily Todd Howard or Bethesda Game Studios, because they didn't make the hardware. They weren't even fully acquired when the system came out. They weren't part of the marketing team that promised 60 FPS for their first party games. So in a way, it's like it's not really on them to deliver something that they never and didn't promise themselves when they came into development of this game. Maybe having a performance mode was on the docket, but maybe it was like really low on the totem pole of importance. And by the way, let me hit up the super chats real quick because we got two of them. The first one was with JD Gamer with the $20 super chat saying, "Hey Forte."
Hey Forte. Hey yo, shout out to him. Hold the line, brother. Shout out. He came into my store today with his King David Hold the Line shirt on, and I was like, that's what's up. I need to buy that shirt. So shout out to you, bro.
And also shout out to Rand, my Bridge 4 brother. Randolph Thor 19 with a $10 super chat said Todd said he was playing Starfield on Series S because his kids wouldn't let him play it on the Series X. I am going to call foul on Todd for that. I think that sounded really nice, Rand. But
Mm-hmm.
two, I see him playing on a Series S. I do not believe it. I think he got a beast of a PC somewhere. Let his kids play on the Series X. He got a 4090 somewhere in his office that he gonna be playing that game on. So that is my viewpoint until I see otherwise.
He got a souped up development kit.
Right. But no, I just kind of I think it's, and Luca kind of touched on it. There are, well, real quick, let me clear up some confusion I've been seeing out here this week. So
Please do.
Todd mentioned in the deep dive that they have implemented their own real-time global illumination solution to the game, which is awesome. Awesome lighting. They got different lighting for every single planet. I think that was a great idea. That's awesome. I think people immediately jumped to the conclusion that this lighting was ray traced global illumination, which is extremely, as we all know, extremely expensive when it comes to performance in games. You turn on ray tracing, you're for a lot of PCs out here, is definitely on consoles, you're tanking your performance. And especially when it comes to AMD hardware, it's AMD architecture that's in these PS5s and Xbox Series X and S's. AMD is the worst at ray tracing. Even Intel, who just got back into doing GPUs, has better ray tracing implementation on their hardware than AMD does. So I'm looking at that like, are y'all certain it's ray tracing? Just because they said real time global illumination doesn't mean it's ray tracing. And well, fortunately, we got confirmation from Digital Foundry that also looked at it and they analyzed and said there's no ray tracing there. That's great. I think that's fine, because it would be horrible if they were forcing ray tracing on consoles the way Respawn did with Jedi Survivor, because that performance on consoles for that game is mostly due to the fact that they're forcing they don't give you a choice, they're forcing ray tracing on you. And so it's good
Right.
that they don't have that going on here. That said, I think that a lot of people have a little egg on their face as far as people in this community, because they really went hard on the 60 FPS wagon, and they really, especially when it came to Redfall, which isn't quite 60 frames per second yet, and they went so hard on we shouldn't be playing games at 30 FPS or being forced to play at 30 FPS, and then the game they really care for is also forcing it, and then they kind of look hypocritical. So it is what it is.
How do they look hypocritical?
Because it was some people that were out here like, I'm not playing a game at 60 FPS, and then at 30 FPS when it came to Redfall, and then now when it comes to Starfield, they're like, well, here's the exception.
Ain't that something, man?
That's the hypocrisy. So it's like and 2 weeks ago they were like, oh, it's an L if it doesn't have 60 FPS, but as soon as they got their the things that they had like that were laid out by Phil Spencer and Todd Howard in their explanation, it's like they just assimilated the explanation and just started spitting it out verbatim. It's just like, oh wow, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting, like the whole 30 frames per second debate. I was the first one to come out last month when Tears of the Kingdom came out, and people was like, you were capping for 30 frames per second. I was like, listen, man, I'm a fraud, because I understand that Zelda is one of those games that I don't care about. And it was the first thing I told people. I said, there are things that you love, and if you love them enough, you will deal with them. And I will deal with Zelda being at 30 frames per second. Doesn't mean I want to play it at 30 frames per second, because it's atrocious that it's running at 30 frames. Not even, it don't even run at 30. It runs at like 24. Huh?
No, you didn't have to deal with that.
No. But okay, yeah, I don't have. Well, actually, I have played it on PC, and it's a way better experience. But
there we go. So
look,
you had a choice.
No, I had a choice.
You
but
still chose to spend like $350.
Well, no. Well, listen, I still love my Switch. I still play my Switch all the time, and I'm not about to be the person that's not gonna own the stuff that I'm going to do the thing that you're saying about. But with that being said,
you ain't had to buy like
everything though. Listen, I bought it because I love Zelda. Zelda is like one of my favorite Nintendo.
Master Sword too, like
yes.
Like everything.
Whoa.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with being a fan? I got a giant tarp right here with Leak on it.
Person that like emulates a game but doesn't buy it too. He can buy the $70 game and emulate the game and play it emulated on his PC instead of spending.
No, I understand what you're saying, Slow-Mo, but you're adding all that flavor text and talking about him buying all the accessories too.
Yeah, because did you see? Wait. First of all,
is there a problem with him doing that?
Is there a problem with that, Slow-Mo? You watching my pockets?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's tough, bro.
Absolutely.
You are? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because Slow-Mo, would I be looking at your pockets if they came out with a Chrono Trigger remake and they came out with a whole bunch of different things for it, and you decided to want to spend $1,000 for everything? Would I look at you funny?
Digital deluxe version, and that is it.
No. Oh, no, I don't want to hear that, because I know.
Don't buy collector edition.
No. I remember you saying. No. Listen, I remember you saying. Listen, I remember you saying on. No, it ain't got nothing to do with collector's edition, Slow-Mo.
Yes, it does.
No, listen, I remember you saying on the wonderful, Ash and Lucas channel, shout out to Scumcast. I remember you saying it on there.
Yeah,
you
shout
said,
out to Scumcast, man.
Shout out to Scumcast.
It bought me a free game.
Shout out.
You're
welcome.
No, shout out.
I heard some of the panelists on there are excellent.
They are. I mean,
all of them are.
What I heard.
Yeah, I mean,
well, except for one. I think there's a problem.
Except for Singer. Except for Singer.
Opinion.
Excuse me?
That might be the most devout person on the panel
First
over
of all,
there.
Singer is an excellent member.
Yeah, I
He's
think
there.
Slow-Mo's the problem child.
He's there
Wow.
9 times out of 10. I don't have to worry about him, and when he's not there, I know it's for like an actual reason. So he's an excellent member.
It was a joke.
No, but the
I
thing,
don't like those kinds of jokes, man.
no. Okay, so the thing I was going to say, Slow-Mo, I remember you saying on that show that you would spend if Chrono Trigger, if Chrono Trigger was released, and you said you would spend like $200 on just that game alone.
That's the base game. I mean, I said,
but it's still still $200 for something.
The context of what I was saying. We were talking about. I think the topic was $70 games, and I was saying that like the what is worth that price is subjective by the kind of game that the game is, that what people want to play. So when I brought up like buying Chrono Trigger at $200, it wasn't a collector's edition when there's a cheaper version available. It was if in some hypothetical stupid reason that Square Enix decided to launch Chrono Trigger Remake and make it $200, which they would never do. If they did it, I would spend that money on it because I want to play that bad. But if that's the base price, I'm not talking about a collector's edition.
Listen,
collector's editions usually.
Yes, are usually that price. But
how much are collector's editions usually?
Usually like 200, 150 to $200. But that's every collector's edition comes with a cheaper version of the game.
About buying.
I just think this is the thing.
Collector's edition. I don't think Forte mentioned that.
No, I just said that he mentioned that I bought all the stuff for Zelda. I bought the new Switch. I bought the Joy. I bought the Pro Controller. I bought the Amiibo.
But none of that stuff is a collector's edition.
It, man?
Why did you include it then?
Because Forte was trying to make a point that I'm not going to just emulate a game without supporting. Like by
I understand
what everyone talks about with that. Don't cut me off. What I'm saying by that is that everybody. I'm not. You asked me a question. You asked me the question. You act like I didn't say it already. I'm going to repeat myself since apparently nobody heard me.
I think people are not understanding the point you're making because it's not making sense, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you.
It's making total sense if y'all listen.
Okay.
Okay, we're just gonna move on. We're just gonna move on from this.
I still want to hear the point.
We're just gonna move on.
10 seconds. Can you just?
No, we're just gonna move.
I need to know. I need to know.
Okay, go ahead, Slow-Mo. Hurry up.
Not y'all rushing him. Oh my god.
On my own damn show.
Our show.
Oh my god, cursing! I thought we were cursing on here.
How about we gonna move on? How about that?
Okay, we'll just move on. So my thoughts. So I kind of want you guys to think about something with Starfield, and I was thinking about this earlier today. 30 frames per second. When was this game officially when was development on this game started?
7 years ago.
7 years ago. What we were in last generation, basically halfway through it. A lot of these big ideas that Todd Howard had last generation, he wanted to implement it to this game. I feel it's not that I feel like he had added so much to this game. Well, and this is the problem with having a game that goes across generations. You have so much stuff that you want to add. He probably had in his mind that this game's already going to run at 30 frames per second because the ideas I have for this game for this generation is not going to be able to do it. So their mindset was probably set 5-6 years ago. This is what we're going to do with this game. We don't know what we know that technology and everything does advance very fast, but we don't know where we're going to be at in 7 years when it comes to like your overall scope of what a game is going to be. I just think they kept adding and adding and adding to this game.
I think you're wrong. Or half
okay, go
wrong
ahead.
Because
half wrong. I'll take half wrong.
Because while Starfield was developed, it was formally announced in 2018, right? So
it was announced in 2018, right?
Yeah, that was 5 years ago, right? And I mean, you still have to loop. I looped in like 2 years for Creation Engine 2.0. We got development kits in 2019,
right?
2019, 2020. So yeah, I think they did know actually the specs of what they were creating, and I don't think that they entered full production until they got the specs for the next generation. So yeah, I think
Well, the
that
question is, do you think that because all of the things that they probably wanted to add into the game was probably already there. The thing is, I don't think, like he said, that was the key thing he said. I do not want to sacrifice this for
yeah,
this.
that's what I'm saying. Is like
I
I don't think they scoped until they got into production.
and that's the thing.
If
I
they're
think
and if they entered production after the development kits are out, which is about 2019, 2020, I mean, you know, I would say fair enough. Like I think that Todd knew exactly the capabilities of the machine, and I feel like Todd set out to make the game that he made. Whether that was the detriment to the player experience is, you know, subjective or whatever. But I mean, I don't think that he originally came out and said, or I don't think that he spoke to the team and said, "Oh yeah, now we're doing too much. We need to scale it down," which is what
right,
I think you were implying with the whole scoping thing. Now, I think everything
right.
else you said was fine, but
Okay, I
I
appreciate
just
it.
wanted to talk about specifically about that.
No, yeah, and I agree with that 100%. I just think at a certain point, you know, Todd is saying like, even though Rand, shout out to you, Rand, says that he's playing on a Series S. When this game comes out, that man ain't touching the Series S. He ain't touching the Xbox in general. He's gonna play this thing on PC. He
And
knows that.
honestly, he's got it. I mean, I understand. Like they have QA testers and stuff like that, but like, I mean,
Yeah,
the game's not out yet. You want to know how your current build of the game is performing on the least powerful hardware it's going to be running on. So of course he's going to be playing on this.
yeah, of course.
I mean, it's part of his job to do stuff like that. So I just like I don't.
I'm
Really
actually
blame
shocked
him
they got it 1440p 30. Honestly, well, I thought it was going to. I thought 1080p was coming in real hot on that S, but they got 1440p, which
Well, I mean, the thing is that the Series S isn't like it's not as
it's not
bad. It's not as
super
big of a
underpowered.
potato as people make it out to be.
Yeah, it's not a
But
brick.
at this,
No.
but at the same time, third-party developers are going to spend as much time on it as Bethesda is, because now that's, I mean,
Oh,
it's your first party.
that's a
So
topic for later on.
okay, then I'll pause on
Yeah,
that.
you know what I'm talking. Yeah, that's a topic for later on about that. So we'll just move on. Like, listen, first of all, what did the Starfield Direct do for you guys? Like, just seeing it, are you more excited for it? Are you pretty much the same, or you're basically still taking a wait to see approach? Luca, what you got?
Oh, I was gonna get it regardless. So
Absolutely.
I'm a fan of Bethesda Game Studios. So, you know, regardless, I was gonna get it. I was gonna play the game. I put hundreds of hours into Fallout 4, and I've been looking forward to Starfield since they announced it, and hopefully, hopefully I really love it and enjoy it, and I really enjoy what I saw. So.
Right, Deli.
I would originally was going to get it. Now I'm less so. Just because I'm starting to see that it's more like one of those 100-hour video games. I mean, not that like Fallout and them wasn't. But this is like a real kind of like
Time
nitty
sink.
gritty, like, you know, time sink. Like there's a lot of activities to do and there's a lot of stuff to do. So it'll probably go on the back burner for me. I probably will get it by the end of the year. But I probably won't get it on launch.
Mm,
Just because, like I said, just seeing it and the scale of it, I'm like, I have a hard time wanting to buy it, and then I knowing that it's gonna sit on my shelf for quite some time. Like I'm still not done with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom yet. I beat the first dungeon, and then I'm not even anywhere close to any real progress in the game.
yeah, that sounds good. What about you, Slomo?
I probably more so because I went into it. I don't like Bethesda games like that. I went into it not intending on playing it, and then came out of it thinking my curiosity has been piqued, and I'm gonna give it a shot. So I would say it definitely helped get me on board to actually. I already have Game Pass, so it's like it's not like I'm going to
Right.
buy the game, but I mean, not that they care about that. They care more about Game Pass subscribers, you giving them additional engagement than that $70 price point anyway. So yeah, yeah, they got me. I'll be playing
Right.
it
Yeah.
on
So
PC, of course.
on PC, of course. So I am not a Bethesda, like, I was never really into the medieval stuff. I mean, Fallout, I actually could get into it a little bit. I mostly, played it back and forth with my wife when she would play it. so I really wasn't super into it. I was into this one just because it was in space, and that's like one of my favorite. I'm a huge sci-fi nut, so when I saw that, that kind of got me more interested in it. But I will say I watched the direct 5 times. You know, outside of
That's
one
a
time,
long
but just
time.
yeah, I watched it. I watched it at work. I watched it at work
Oh, okay.
once. I watched at work while I was just sitting there listening to it. I watched it when I wanted to get the 4K footage for this that you're watching on the screen now. So that was a second time. But there was a lot of things that they were saying. You know, I got a lot of vibes from previous games that I like. Not saying they're like those. Like there's some Mass Effect vibes in there with being able to recruit your crew, and then they started talking about missions for your crew and stuff like that. And
Biotic powers at the end.
yeah, they showed the biotic powers and him walking through, and I was like, "Yo!" So
it wasn't the original when Mass Effect did it, but still, it's just like you see all these other little vibes, and
yeah, so
they're kind of like a sister studio to BioWare original
exactly
BioWare anyway. They all come from Interplay, so
right. So when I saw that, it really got me very excited, and I'm like, I'm actually going to play this game day one now. And I was one of those people that really wasn't checking for this game like that. So I'm definitely looking forward to what they have to come with it, and it's going to be fun when it finally does come out.
I mean, outside of just us here, if you look at the overall scale of like the reaction to it, it's overwhelmingly positive.
Overwhelmingly,
it was like number 2. The pre-orders for Starfield on Steam went up to like number 2 immediately after the show. I can't remember what was number 1, the number 1 sold thing or bought thing, but it's just that's amazing.
wasn't it?
And it really kind of shows that how much PC really supports Bethesda's games.
Right? Yeah, definitely.
Well, also, you don't get a lot of people coming out with 45 minutes of a deep dive. Like this is like I don't know. This is like such an old school mentality. It's like, hey, we're gonna show off as much as our game as possible. I mean, like obviously the game comes out in a couple months, right? But it definitely is like old school. It's like, hey, let's see what we're working on, or we're showing off, and all the good and the bad, right? Like the fact that they didn't hide the frame drops or anything like that was nice to know that, hey, this is a genuine gameplay. So it was reassuring to see for sure.
Well, guess what? That was an amazing segue, because speaking of hiding the gameplay, Hellblade. I see it. I saw it. I saw everything that I always see. Beautiful trailer. I already know it's going to be very atmospheric. I already know I'm gonna want to play with headphones on, or I'm gonna want to crank my sound system to the max with my Dolby Atmos and take in all the different elements of this game. I know it's gonna be one of those heart-wrenching things that you're gonna go through as you're playing it. But there was something missing. The one thing that everybody basically challenged and said was not the best part of the game, and it was gameplay. They keep showing us the things that we know are going to be great in the game, but they just refuse to show us that gameplay.
Yeah.
Once again, I'll go to Slow-Mo. You know what? Let you go on this one first, man.
I'm gonna say what I said on Sunday.
Go ahead.
I think I tweeted this out during the show. Nah, it could have been. Yeah, it was during the show because my wife was driving at that point. Or maybe a little bit afterwards, because I was just dumbfounded that they showed what they showed, which wasn't bad. Like the actual content that they showed wasn't bad, and it was running on the Xbox Series X. It wasn't bad. It's just that it's so reminiscent of what they've already shown us that, like, why did you show this instead of combat? And I think what I said was that a few years ago, there would be like I would have never fathomed that, like, at some point I will be wondering why Ninja Theory isn't showing combat for one of their games. Ninja Theory, of all studios, not showing combat for one of their games. Like, what? It doesn't make sense to me, and it actually kind of gets me thinking about maybe there's a problem with combat with this game.
Well, didn't we get a
Maybe
gameplay reveal like a year ago or so? Or no, 2 years ago now, right? It's
I
2023.
mean, I mean, was it? I wouldn't call it a gameplay reveal. I mean, like you talking about the part where she goes into a cave and then
Yeah,
like
she
a
runs through the
huge
fire.
giant chases her out and she
Yeah, yeah,
throws a
yeah.
spear. But I mean, like that's not like I mean, you ain't gonna be throwing spears at giant infants for the whole game. Like
I mean, no, not for the whole game, but
yeah,
I
but it's
mean,
like people want to see because like in the first game, all she had was one sword. You
yeah,
fought like a variation of only three different enemies, and there was like it was very much sectioned off. Here's the puzzle section. Here's the walking and talking and story exposition section. Here's the combat section. Here's back the puzzles, and it was just like it's like you didn't get enough of the combat in the first game. A lot of people thought that way. It was very unbalanced. Like in the first half of the game, there was barely any combat, and then you get like a whole bunch of it really at the end. But it's just you had that horror section, and then you had more puzzles, and then it's like fight, 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 end, and it's just like,
mhm.
bro, like, and there was nothing deep about the combat. There was no different like, hey, maybe different stances, different animations and different ways to attack enemies with different weapons. None of that stuff. And it's just I think a lot of people that have thought about Hellblade 2 have thought I would like to see that. I would like to see more of what Ninja Theory has done in the past when it comes to combat with Hellblade 2. And the fact that like it's still not there. It kind of gets me thinking about this, and I'm not saying I know anything. I'm not saying I know anything, but like you know how, and I'll bring up BioWare as an example. Like people look at BioWare, they say that like we have an expectation that is like Mass Effect 2, Dragon Age Origins. Like we have an expectation, Knights of the Old Republic, of the greatest, the highs that you've had. But like you look at current day BioWare, they don't have that talent anymore. They're not that studio. Even though we still have the expectation of what we want them to be, and what we expect from Dragon Age, Dread Wolf, and Mass Effect 4, there's no guarantee, and like more than likely, we're not going to get that because they aren't the same people. I do wonder if it's been a little bit of like attrition with their staff where they don't have the same people that delivered in the way that people remember of Ninja Theory back then as they do now. I don't know for certain, but it's just that if maybe they're struggling on the combat side of things to at least try to like reach the same level of quality that people expect from them, and they don't have quite got it yet. I just don't understand why they wouldn't show combat. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Especially if
Uh
nothing's wrong, right?
yeah, definitely. Before I go to the next person, shout out to JD Gamer with the $2 super chat. He says Starfield has super Mass Effect vibes. Absolutely, bro. And also again, JD Gamer with the $10 super chat. When Ninja Theory did their mini developer direct showing and doing the actress motions capturing and training for combat, it got me excited because those moves, and if those moves end up in the game, I suspect combat will be great. Um, Luca, what do you think about Hellblade and the showcase they did?
Really liked what they showed in the sense of the story. I thought it was very interesting. The entire concept of her looking within herself, seeing the reflection of herself while she has the voices in her head. I really like the things that go into that. But yeah, I was just kind of scratching. I was like scratching my own head. I was like, where's the gameplay, you know? And a lot of people want to act deliberately obtuse. Okay, deliberately obtuse. When I stated, "Where's the gameplay?" They were like, "That was gameplay, Luca." And I was just like, Whenever someone asks for gameplay, 9 times out of 10, we're asking about the combat, which most people already know that. I
Yeah.
like the fact that I even had to explain it to some people is baffling. But yeah, it was just like weird to me. I actually have a different theory compared to Slow-Mo. I think the reason they're not showing anything is because uh, they didn't change too much. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh man, please.
I think it's like, okay, listen, I have no issues being wrong about this, and I hope I'm wrong.
I
Not that
hope
it
you're
really
wrong too, but
not that it really
that's
matters because
I mean,
I'm not playing that. But like
yeah.
like, I can imagine that the issue is that they just haven't changed much, because even in the developer direct, and I was on RDX podcast Sunday after the show, shout out to the boys, and one of them was just like, oh, there's the developer direct for Hellblade, uh it's going to be later in the week, and I'm just like, all right, we'll see. And that's where some folks were saying that's where the gameplay was going to be, but they didn't show that. They showed another, like, I don't know, developer diary in which the chick was
Yeah, the
showing her
mocap.
mocapping. I'm like, can y'all
Yeah.
like stop that, please? Like, show
Yeah,
us
it looks
some
beautiful, but
gameplay,
come on
please.
now.
Like, come on now.
Yeah.
You know what people are looking for. So I just think it's a little weird. It's been years since they announced this game. But I'm not really worried about it being bad. I think it might just be similar,
Mm, that's a
That's
good.
actually a good point,
Yeah.
and I thought about that too, but I kind of like was really hoping that wasn't the case, so I kind of just like threw that thought into the back of my mind and just said, stay there and don't ever speak again, because that would be really disappointing if they just didn't improve anything. That would
Yeah.
really suck, because it's
Yeah.
just like, I mean, that would be really kind of just ignoring all of the. I mean, the first game was good, right? It wasn't like perfect or great or anything. That was one of the criticisms. Part of the other criticisms, the puzzle sucked. But like, if one of the criticisms is that your combat it was cool but shallow, and you just decide, all right, cool, that's thank you. We're gonna keep it moving now. Like, what? Come on now. Like, like people really would like to see it go further, but I mean that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. What about you, Deli?
I think that the Hellblade 2 is probably just gonna mostly stay the same. I mean, from the previous gameplay reveal to this one, I think it looks pretty consistent. I know that the last gameplay reveal, I said this like forever ago, was like it was too many videos spliced together. Like it was too many, yeah, it was too many videos spliced together. So like obviously it wasn't running smoothly all the way through to like run from like 1 to 100% the entire way through. So they had to like obviously redo the footage several times over, re-record it
Mm-hmm.
several times over, and splice together the footage to make it look like one seamless segment. Um, but again, from that reveal 2 years ago in 2021 to now, I think it seems really, really consistent with what they showed off last time. So I think it'll just be more of the same from the first game. I think that the combat will probably change. It'll be a lot more fluid and less stiff, but not sure what kind of themes are going on in this game. And a lot of people, including myself, will say things like, the combat is like a deliberate choice. Whether or not that choice was a good choice, is another conversation. But the combat was a deliberate choice with the themes of the first game. But again, judging from the gameplay reveal, I feel like the combat's gonna get a big overhaul or a big upgrade. But we'll see, what the second game holds. I think it was an impressive showing. I was fine with it, to be honest with you. But I would like to see more moment to moment gameplay, especially, old school, just somebody coming out on stage with a controller and playing it, like
I would love that.
even if it's just walking around, like I want somebody playing the game, and I just missed that like 2014, 2016 era of like game developers doing that.
Mm. Yeah, oh man, see, I love this game. I love the first one. It was very impactful for me. Playing it, just literally, it felt like you were a part of it when you played that game, and definitely hits on an emotional level. Especially if you're like really invested in that type of stylized of a game. My only problem, like I said, I don't think this game's going to be bad. I don't think it's going to be just good. I think it's going to be great. I just want them to I just want to see an improvement on what I can only speak for myself, because some people probably don't have a problem with the combat. That was the weakest part of the game. But in so many ways, that was probably the part of the game that was not supposed to be emphasized on the most, because it was about the experience. But it's kind of hard to say that when you go from something that good and not take the one thing that was probably a little bit of a, not a letdown, but just a little bit more of a, it, like just not up to like standard par what we get now. I just want to see that get improved. Now, yeah, they might be saving it and holding it and wanting to like blow us away later on, like how they did with the Starfield Direct. They may have its own little direct for this game and everything. But this game has been showcased a lot of times over the course of the last
now.
Yeah, 3 times now, and we're getting we're getting story beats of what the game is about, but we may not know what the story is about, but we know
we still don't really know what the game's about, really. I
right.
Mean, we kind of get a idea, kind of, but it's very similar themes to what the first game was about too. You know, with mental health and and the voices, but we don't really know what's going on either. Like, so I guess I don't know what the marketing approach is for this game, because it's just outside of showcasing how Ninja Theory has mastered Unreal Engine and their mocap and their performance capture tech is up there with the best in the industry. I couldn't really tell you much else that's different about this game compared to the first one.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing for me. I just want to see this game improve. I think in the way that I want it to. Once again, selfish gamer. I think everything else is around this game is going to be great. I just want to be able to see that one thing. And as much as I want to disagree with Lucas so much about they're not changing, it's not that different. It sounds a lot better than what I was thinking. Like they're just trying to hide the combat, because that's literally at this point, that's what I feel. I feel like you're hiding it from us because it's not good. But if you want to take a more sensible approach to it, they probably just didn't really change it that much. And they're trying to showcase all the things that can get people excited outside of that. So when they finally do showcase it, they're like, okay, it's not worse than it was before, but the other parts of the game that they're adding is so much better. So they're trying to butter us up to let us down at the end. So Luca's take on that kind of gives me a little bit different of a thought process, because I truly feel like they're just hiding it at this point. There's no reason for us not to have seen it at this point. So
I mean, they could go through the Spider-Man 2 marketing school and just don't show anything, and then drop a gameplay, several months before release.
They could.
As we know, the release date is slated for 2024, so it's not a concrete one.
Right.
So there could still be a lot in the, a lot up the sleeve. But who knows? That's a year, less than a year away. But yeah, that's feasibly a year away from the next big showcase.
But also
so yeah,
with
that's quite some time.
Spider-Man, they 2 years ago they revealed it with a CG trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It went radio silent. Then 2 years later, gave us like, what was that, like 8 minutes of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the second time they showed the game, they showed a ton of gameplay.
I mean,
It's just like this is the third time we're seeing Hellblade.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago, they showed off 6 minutes, or what is it, 5-6 minutes, something like that, of gameplay. So, I mean, it's comparable, and whether or not you classify it as gameplay or whether or not I classify it as gameplay is a totally different story. But Xbox classifies it as gameplay.
I feel a segue coming.
And that's what matters the most, is that Xbox says it's gameplay.
Speaking of which, here, Deli with the great segues. Let's talk about the next thing that Xbox show. Well, not the next thing they show, but the next thing that really people are talking about this showcase. Fable, which I was shocked that it was first. I'm glad that they did it. They got it out the way really quick. They pulled the Band-Aid off. And there's a lot of components to this. Let's talk about the first component first, because I think everybody wants to talk about the gameplay and like the lack thereof of it, if you want to look at it that way. Luca, I want to go to you with this first, because you always talk about, especially you being the one female panelist on the group, it's a lot of people talking about how ugly characters are again. That's one of the part
Oh,
of the things that came from this.
no.
So I
Oh,
so I want to
no.
hear what you got to say, Luca. What do you think about the ugly duckling syndrome that's happening when people talk about this game?
So here's the thing, right? Like I asked the question earlier on Twitter where I asked people like, do you guys think that they're deliberately going out of their way to make characters ugly? And I've got a variety of answers. The most interesting ones I got were the people who were like, yes, some developers that have even stated that. You know what I'm saying? So, as for this particular character, here's the thing, right? I definitely understand what people are saying, but Fable is you can make your own character, so who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's not like you got to play as someone who's not attractive to you, you know? So it doesn't really matter, but I can 100% say that I understand where folks are coming from cuz me personally, I have a preference. I would prefer to play as someone who is pretty. And you know, I had an interesting conversation with Sophie earlier where she's like, "Well, you know, everyone's definition of pretty is different." I'm just like, "Girl, like most of us, you know, she's right, but like most of us can look at someone and be like, okay, this person is attractive by like Western standards. You know what I'm saying? And a vast majority of people would agree with that. So, you know, like I saw the character, I didn't really think too much of it. I was more focused on the uh the 1 second of combat gameplay. But you know, as someone who likes playing as pretty people, I don't even understand why the conversation has to be so extreme. Maybe it's because the people who are bringing it to like folks' attention and bringing it to the forefront are doing it in such a off-putting way that everyone just automatically assumes that anyone who has an issue with it is a weirdo or an incel. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
for me, I don't get why I would be considered an incel just because I want my characters to look nice. And this concept of why do you want them to look good? I'm like, it's the same reason why I like to watch pretty things. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
things that are more appealing to the eye draw you in and keep you interested and invested. It's that simple, you know? I'll play a game even if the character's not attractive. Like that's not a problem. But having the character be attractive is a plus for me. It's why I enjoyed dressing up Geralt. I cut his hair. I would shave his beard. You know, I'd customize his beard. He was so handsome. It's why I bought all those cute little outfits and Tales of Arise because I thought I was like Alphen is handsome, but Shion is beautiful, and I enjoyed highlighting her beauty. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I don't understand why it's got to be a problem. I don't think you're weird if you say like, hey, you see a couple female characters looking looking a little, looking a little odd, you know what I'm saying? And folks automatically get so defensive about it and they call you like some kind of loser. And I'm just like, but I mean, like I said, to be fair, the people who are bringing it up are doing it in such a weird way that I can understand why folks find it off-putting. So I just
Mm,
think it's one of those unfortunate things that are happening in some
right.
cases for some developers.
I,
Slow
I
mo.
I I don't think it's a huge deal, and I do kind of think that the topic has gotten kind of like a little overblown because the amount of emotions that people have for it is a bit weird to me. Although I think just having the discussion isn't weird in itself. There's some people that act like just discussing attractiveness in video games makes you a weirdo, and I'm just like, it just seems like you're too immature to actually have this conversation without thinking about what other people think about you. But um my main question I have in regards to this, and I've seen this play out in multiple ways. One with Mass Effect Andromeda, but I see it with this trailer here with Fable as well. So there are two actors, or at least one actor and one person whose face is being used for a character in this trailer. The first one was Richard. I don't know how to say this guy's last name. Oyade. I probably butchered it. Apologies, but he's an actor. I remember seeing him in a British TV show comedy called The It Crowd a long time ago. Other people who may have known that show may recognize him, and you
Mm-hmm.
may recognize him because he looks exactly like him.
Literally does.
Exactly like him. Like it literally looks like him. They did a great job. but for the face actress for the female protagonist in this game, they didn't do her justice whatsoever. So I do kind of get like where some people are kind of feel like there is with some developers an agenda of trying to almost as if like we want our female characters to look like normal women. But there are beautiful normal women out there.
Mm-hmm.
There are naturally voluptuous women out there that are just living their life like they're not fake.
Voluptuous.
Oh,
They're
Lord.
not like they didn't come from out of a comic book or something. Why can't they look at a video game character and say, "Oh, that reminds me of me"? Why is it that you always have to go towards a particular body type or a particular type of face and say, "But this is what normal is"? Because I don't think that's normal. There's so many different people, different types. I also wonder why you seem to care so much about whether a woman is pretty or not, but there's always white women, and you never want to put black women in the game, but whatever, right? So you always seem to kind of go for a particular demographic, but not necessarily all the way over there. Other people being minimized. I don't care about y'all. I care about me, right? It's weird. It's weird to me. Um, I just look like you can create your own character. I don't think this is going to be much of a topic when the game comes out. And clearly, like they didn't have a release date on it, so there's so much that can change. There's so much that can change with the way they scan people, characters, actors, or people's faces in the game. So I don't think it's that big a deal, but it's just little things that I noticed that I kind of
Listen, all
have
I'm
a question
saying,
about.
like, not that this is ever gonna happen, right? Because it's never gonna happen. But like, if they were like, "Hey, Luca, I want to use your face for a game," and then they like change certain things to make me look like unattractive, I'd be like, "Then what are y'all doing?
It's
Like,
like,
why would you
why I
do
look
that?
like a
with that,
wildebeest in this vid? Why I look like a
Why would you do
wildebeest in
that? Like,
this?
what's going on? Like, is that how y'all view me? Is that what I look like? You know what I'm saying?"
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like,
Yeah.
like I brought up Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda, the main protagonists are these two twins. It's a guy twin and a girl twin. The guy looks almost exactly like the model that they use. The girl looks nothing like the girl rider twin. Why? Like it just doesn't seem to make sense to me. Why it's like it's okay to go, be as accurate as possible on the dude, but on the women, y'all want to get creative with how they look. And then like I agree with Luca. It makes sense if hey, we want you to be in the game. Really? Me? Yeah. You've got a beautiful, unique face. We want to put you in our game. They put you in a game and you look like a sloth. Like what? Like why did you change me like that? Like that I'll be pretty upset.
Deli, what you think?
It was an impressive showing. Honestly, in-game stuff looks great. Engine work, animations, the whole 9 yards, lighting. Subsurface scattering on the skin looks fantastic. Don't care too much. Didn't see gameplay. As soon as I don't see gameplay or I don't see anything that says like play it on an Xbox or whatever, my brain cells just automatically just tune out immediately. So, nice, cool, cute, awesome sizzle reel. Not really my cup of tea.
Okay,
Oh,
so
so
you,
you're
I'm
saying you
glad
didn't
you.
see much gameplay
That's
there,
what I'm saying.
huh?
I'm glad you transitioned to that. So, of all that whole trailer,
Yeah, no,
so was there any gameplay in that trailer, Deli?
no. It's in engine. For the specifics of in engine, whenever you see an in engine, which obviously you see a lot of that during the Xbox showcase, it just means this is running. This is what the game, is targeting to look like, right?
Yeah.
In engine.
Now, real quick, I did want and to be as accurate as possible. One of the I think the lighting engineers on the game, his name is Lucas something. I'll get his full name. He on Twitter said that this was in game running on the Xbox Series X. So I did want to make sure that we're not just saying in engine, but it's like 'cause in engine could be just running on whatever. But he said this was running on the Xbox Series X, so I'm pretty sure probably we saw a combination of cutscenes, running in engine with Forza Tech, and
I mean, for sure,
maybe
it's
combat
probably
with like a detached
it was most
camera kind of thing.
definitely edited in engine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like
Yeah.
obviously detached camera comes out, they pull it out, they animate it in engine because, like if you guys are familiar with Unreal Engine 5,
Yes.
you can edit
Mhm.
inside of Unreal Engine 5. You can actually move the individual parts and set the running speed and everything like that. But it's not indicative of the actual gameplay, right?
Right.
Right.
Because
Right.
we've seen plenty of in-game trailers, and that used to be a thing, right? In-game trailers, right?
Mhm.
um where they said, This is what the game should look like, this is the game what actually looks like." And we see this in Tekken all the time too, right? Like you'll see the characters running and moving, and then you'll see the camera be completely detached from an angle that you'll never play with, right?
Right. Right.
But it's to give it that kind of cinematic flair, it's to kind of give it that extra look, right? Because maybe the lighting looks better in this angle versus the other angles.
This
Mhm.
entire conversation reminds me of a massive argument that me and Forte had a couple years ago, where Forte cussed me out on the phone. I'm talking about full on screamed at me, called me
Are
all
we talking
kinds of
about
names.
Halo
Yeah,
and
he
the
even he
Destiny?
knows exactly what I'm talking about. When 2 years
No.
ago, when they showed the multiplayer trailer gameplay, I say that
For-
in quotation marks, trailer 343 did for Halo Infinite, and I didn't like it because I was like, you're gonna show me a multiplayer gameplay trailer, but I didn't see actual gameplay. I didn't see actual first. There was not a single second of first person view. It was a compilation of cool stuff that you can do in the game with a detached camera that was scripted like for like good 2 minutes. Forte loved it, and a lot of people loved it. I was sitting there like, yo, I really just wanted to see
I'm
like
still going to disagree with you on this,
a
by the way, but go
highlight with a
ahead.
oh look,
Still going to disagree with you
it
on that
wasn't,
one.
but no, you were telling me that's gameplay, and I was like, bro, that's not gameplay, because gameplay is someone actually playing the game.
I'm still
And
going to
that
disagree
wasn't
with you.
anybody playing the game. That was literally like some of the stuff that was going on. It was like no scope headshot, spin around 360, spin around stuff. Just come on, bro. That wasn't gameplay. Like, and it's just like I understand in the focus of trying to do something exciting to excite the fan base, but like some of us just want to say, hey, look, man, I know Halo, okay? I just want to see you play the game so I can get an idea of what the gunplay is like. I want to see first person view. I want to see you reloading. I want to see you ADS. I want to see you moving around. I want to see movement. I want to see all that stuff. And I
Okay.
didn't see any of that in a multiplayer trailer. And so that's why I was trying to say the Forte. And it reminded me of this conversation here, because here we are and people are saying, well, we saw gameplay.
This is different. This is wholly different. Okay. So, all right. If we're going by the letter of the law gameplay, you're right about Halo, because it was the presentation of it was from a detached camera, probably in a replay setting where they did a match or they did things in replay, and they can show you stylistic ways.
Stuff happening.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
By everybody all around. Like,
that's what I'm saying. They played it out stylistically throughout the map in a replay and used the camera to capture certain angles that you will never see as a gamer or as a player. But the difference is, I know what Halo looks like. When I see Halo, it's just like when I see Destiny. When Bungie puts out a trailer, those trailers are over the top. We know it's not you actually playing the game. It's not from an angle of you playing the game, but they're showcasing you new abilities. They're showcasing new things in the game, because we already know what the game looks like. We already know what the game. Wait, hold on. That's what I'm saying. But we already know what the game looks like. We already know what it feels like. The problem I have with this trailer is we don't know what Fable is. We don't know how it plays. We don't know we don't even know if it's third person versus first person. We got an idea that's more likely going to be third person, but we don't truly know that yet.
No, it better be.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't know.
If this was gameplay, like everybody or like
It would be
people
third
say
person if it was gameplay.
if this was genuine gameplay, then it would look like to me that this game plays and feels exactly like God of War Ragnarok, right or wrong.
Right. From the way that
Right,
they
exactly.
yes.
From the way it plays, from the when she's running, when she's jumping through the flames, when she's dodging the things, like everything looks like those heavily scripted linear games, which isn't really in the style of Fable, right?
Right.
But also with God of War, there are moments where it's like for example, the two big fights at the beginning of both of the last God of War games, right? Where you have very well done, by the way, but I'm not knocking it, but like actual gameplay interwoven with scripted cutscene where you don't even realize it like has gone into a cutscene sometimes and then goes back into gameplay. Like a lot of what I saw in this trailer seemed very cutscene to me. You know, like when the giant is like kicking her into the wall and stuff like that. Like that's cut. That looks like a cutscene to me,
Which
and
is
not
fine because
necessarily,
it's
which is fine. It's
like
still
I said,
it's still in game.
it's
It's still in
in
game.
game, in engine, and that's, I mean, they weren't lying,
Right, right,
they
right.
weren't lying. But
It
again, what we
yeah.
value is moment to moment gameplay.
Right.
If you're selling me a product, I need to know what it looks like genuinely when I open the box, right? Because at the end of the day, like inside studios, like when we're working on games at Ubisoft, like my seniors always told me, blah blah blah, X Y, don't care. What about Timmy from Ohio, right?
Right.
And Timmy from Ohio always had some weird something going on, right? Oh, he's not connected to the internet. He's not going to watch this trailer. He doesn't know anything about this stuff. So how do you describe the game to him, right? And if I showed this to a Timmy from Ohio, this is not indicative of what our game will look like. So again, what a lot of gamers and a lot of consumers are complaining about is the actual moment to moment gameplay, because who knows? The game might actually play exactly like this, and that might be great. That might be fantastic. I liked God of War. I don't care. I liked it. I like Uncharted. I liked all these games. So if the next Fable ends up looking and playing exactly like that with my little created character, sure, I will eat it up right then and there, right? But for me, from what we know of Fable, from what I've played of Fable, this trailer does not look like something that I would actually be playing when I go to the store, swipe my card, come home, install it, and play it.
All right. Luca, you got anything you want to add to it?
No.
I love
But
it.
it does look impressive, and
It does.
I won't take anything away from that. It looks impressive, and yeah, everything about it looks awesome.
Yeah,
Yes,
it does.
And Fable is the one game that I have been most excited for. As you know, I've played all the previous games. 3 sucked. 2 is amazing and one of the best games that Xbox has ever published. And 1 is also pretty great too. This was coming from such an acclaimed studio like Playground. The most excited I've been for any of their games coming out, and I'm still impressed. Like I'm just saying, like I think that people need to keep it real and stop pretending like they don't know what gameplay is or what in-game means or what in-engine means. And when people are saying, yo, I wanted to see more gameplay, and people are acting like what we saw was gameplay, like please stop. Like you don't even if it was, you don't really know that for sure, especially with the way that the trailer was made. And if it was gameplay, I think they would have labeled it at the beginning in-game footage and gameplay versus just in-game footage.
All right.
You know, like they would have labeled it with gameplay, because that's what you do when you got gameplay. You label, here's gameplay. So whatever.
All right. Well, gameplay that was a lot of stuff that was missing from this show. But going into the last topic, when it comes into just talking about the showcase, let's talk about, and I'll start with you, Slow-Mo, since you were already talking. It doesn't have to be top 5. Just what were your biggest takeaways from just the show in general? And you ain't got to give it a score or anything, but this is your opportunity to kind of talk about something that you probably were impressed by, some games that you liked that we didn't talk about. What was your takeaways from the show?
I thought it was a very good show. I thought it was probably the most best paced show they've ever had. I thought that they delivered on a lot of what people expected from them for the show, which is hard to do because the hype got really really high, and I think they delivered on the majority of the hype. I think if you're showing Persona 3 Reload, which if that didn't get leaked ahead of time, that is a massive reveal. And the fact that they were able to get Atlas to premiere 3 of their games at
Mm-hmm.
their show, one of which I don't know what's going on. I guess they got like some kind of contract where Atlas can't talk
Nah,
about whether
Atlas
it's
is in there. Atlas is some highway robbery schemers, man. Like the fact that they have their what's it called, their reveal on the 20th of this month. And we all know Atlas, like they are pretty prone to having multiplayer or multi-platform titles. But the
right
fact that Xbox and Microsoft paid for marketing exclusive rights for, I don't know, as far as we know,
3 games
a week, like
for a week. Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty insane.
yeah. I mean, but look, they put their money to work, and it worked because it's a lot of people. I see a lot of Xbox people who typically aren't excited for Japanese RPGs, excited for Atlas's games, and I mean, I like their games, so I'm already like all 3 of them are games that I'm definitely going to be to be playing day one at launch. I just think that they outside of the partnered stuff, which was good, they showed a lot of first party content. They did something that I criticized PlayStation for not doing, which was showing first party. They showed first party. And for the most part, it looked good. I liked what I saw with Clockwork Revolution. In Exile, that looked great. I mean, of course, it's we didn't see gameplay, but it's still the idea of it and what it's supposed to be. And in Exile coming out later on and saying that like, hey, look, this is a straight up RPG like we always do. All that stuff really spoke to me, and I really liked the show. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I will put a score on it. It's a 8 out of 10 for me. I mean, I think the points that took off was for no Hellblade combat, and just I think at a little bit later in the show, they do how they always do. But here's like ongoing game DLC expansion stuff for games that have been out for forever. I'm just like, okay. They just throw them all together, and I'm just like, whatever, bro. Just keep it going. But 8 out of 10. It was a good show. I enjoyed it.
Mm. All right, cool. Luca, biggest takeaways from the show and things that you liked that you saw there.
Well, my biggest takeaway is that Xbox really does listen to their content creators, the big content creators who are in this community. They've improved every single show, every critique that the bigger content creators have had of them. They've taken that to mind and they've made improvements. I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a really good show. It was great. It was excellent. My only issues again were lack of gameplay for certain titles that we were looking forward to, like Fable and Hellblade, right? But other than that, I thought it was great. Um, I wrote it down. I love seeing all the Atlas stuff. My favorite game that was at the showcase that was shown was the Atlas game Lord Metaphor Re Fantasio. That looks really cool. So I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that. And the Exiles title looks really good too. Definitely BioShock vibes. Um, I liked, Star Wars Outlaw looks like a lot of fun, and then we saw the gameplay at Ubisoft, and that's excellent. So,
Mm-hmm.
then we saw some more of Avowed, which was great. And then even though I personally have no interest in any of these titles, I liked the concept of them continuously showing new DLC for Fallout 76 and ESO. Despite like my lack of interest, I think it's really cool that they are like supporting um those multiplayer titles, and also with Sea of Thieves as well. Like again, I care not for any of those, but I like seeing that they are continuously investing in their first party when it comes to those DLCs. I enjoyed the Phantom Liberty tease. I might actually go back to Cyberpunk and play that. So that it'll probably be on the back burner though. There's a lot of stuff coming out in September. And yeah, it was good. I thought it was really good, and we saw a lot of their first party mixed in with the third party, and I think they did a very good job. There's a lot of people offering some critique of folks' opinions about giving this showcase a high score. I must say I don't understand why people care so much about people's opinions about asinine things like this. This is like a dumb thing to be upset about. But I gave it an 8. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's their best showcase that they've had in years, personally.
Yeah. Luca, real quick, but before Dally goes, do you think it would have been better served to put like those like ongoing game DLC stuff, like you mentioned, like we talked about Sea of Thieves and what's another one? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Microsoft
Grounded, all stuff.
Flight
Yeah,
Sim,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
all that stuff. You think it would have been better served
76.
to
Yeah.
put that to the extended showcase instead of in the main showcase?
I mean, I was fine with it. Is it like we shouldn't show DLC at showcases? Is that it?
I just, I don't know. I would prefer to see just stuff from like games that aren't out already, and that the like you do with extended showcase. I kind of
Hmm.
feel like if they didn't do an extended showcase, absolutely show that stuff there because where else would you show it? But they do an extended showcase like 2 days later. I think if people who are playing those games, they're already invested in the ecosystem and they're going to go check out the extended showcase to see what's happening for the game they play, so
Hear you.
I don't, yeah, I feel like it just wouldn't hurt to just put it there instead and kind of
Mm,
shorten your showcase.
I mean, I disagree. I have the opinion that you should be able to show and you should show the things that you are currently supporting because nobody wants to launch something and then like have radio silence, right? And I kept the same energy for the PlayStation showcase. I was like, I was very happy. Again, not a lot of gameplay, but I was very happy that they were showcasing things for the VR too, even if they were like third party or if they were coming to Steam, right? Like I'm surprised and happy and glad that they are showing off things that are they're supporting because nobody wants to launch a product and then have radio silence. I'm looking at you, PlayStation VR one, you know.
Right.
Um, so yeah,
But
the VR
but,
two,
I mean,
VR two,
that's
but
why I
here,
mentioned the extended, right? Because the extended kind of gives you that opportunity. Like if they
yeah,
didn't
but
have an extended
it's
showcase, then yeah, absolutely have that stuff in there because you
but there's
need to show
still
that.
there's still products that they're actively supporting that are under the Xbox umbrella. Whether or not you play them or not doesn't mean that they're not important to the people who do play Xbox. Because how many people are actually tuning into? I don't know the numbers, but how many people actually tuned in to the extended showcase for the entirety of the time?
I have
Um,
no idea.
I
I
checked
think
out halfway through.
I checked in, I tabbed in and out until I saw gameplay or until I saw something I cared about.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
which is yeah,
I watched most of it, and then I stopped watching after the the Hellblade thing. I was
The
like,
hell
oh no.
play,
yeah,
hell
I turned
play.
that off, and I was like, I'm done, and I turned off my TV and went to go do something else after that. So I
Yeah,
saw
I
the
watched some of
beginnings of
it,
it.
but I didn't. I was busy with kids and stuff, so it wasn't like
exactly. But
that was Tuesday, right?
yeah, it was like
Yeah, that
Tuesday or
was
Wednesday or
Tuesday.
something like that.
I
But
was heading to the beach, so yeah, that was just
But the important part I'm trying to make is that we all watched the first showcase, and we should see, and it should be important to Xbox consumers that we see the products that they're currently supporting,
Yeah, I
and
agree with Ellie.
and whether or not we play them or not, or whether or not they're important to us, doesn't mean that we shouldn't see things that Xbox are doing. And we've all criticized, and me myself very much, have all criticized Microsoft in the past for hiding things that they're actively supporting, right? Like, where's Halo? We haven't seen Halo in a while. And if they went radio silent on Halo for like 6 months, right? Or they said they showed off a little bit of in-engine stuff and they said, hey, by the way, we're delaying it a year. Like, we need to see stuff that they're supporting. And we saw stuff that they were coming out with years ago. And then we saw radio silence. And the same type of criticisms that I had about the previous showcases from Xbox are the same ones that I'm going to currently hold here. I'm just trying to see stuff that is coming out soon. I'm trying to see gameplay. I'm trying to see stuff that you guys are making. Concrete stuff, not, title reveals, like Contraband. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
happy as a consumer and for anybody who owns an Xbox or PC or part of their ecosystem, you should be happy with this showcase because Xbox showed you what
Yep.
they're working with, who they're working with, what they're coming out with, and what they're supporting. And, just like the PlayStation showcase, it's important whether or not you care about it or not. So
Right.
I rated it highly. I thought it was like a 7. I don't think it should be lower than a 7. I think it was like 7 or 8 for me. Um, So yeah, I wanted to see more gameplay, but I was happy to see all the announcements.
Mm.
Ooh.
What
Shout
about
out
you,
to
Slow? Go ahead.
I already went, but I just
Oh,
wanted to
you
say,
were okay. Yeah, go ahead.
shout out to Donnell Brown for becoming a channel member, hitting that support class. Appreciate
you.
you, Donnell. JD Gamer with a $10 super chat says, question for the panel: if you could bring one IP back for his one more thing moment at the next showcase, what would it be? Rise 2, Scalebound, Quake, Killer Instinct, or something else?
Perfect Dark. Yeah, I just want Perfect Dark. As far as I know, that game's not being worked on, so I haven't heard anything about it. I haven't seen anything about it.
Hey,
You know what I
it's
mean? Like,
being
come on,
worked on.
bro.
Hey,
We've
look.
talked. I know it is being worked on, but we've talked about it.
Yeah.
How many for almost a year on Scumcast? We talked about it. We talked about it the year before. Like, it's been trending all the time. When was the actual announcement for Perfect Dark? As far as we know, it's
Listen.
just
2021. I
we
can't remember.
gonna
Either 2020 or 2021. But Deli.
2020. December 2020 was the official announced trailer, and it was a title
Oh
card.
yeah, it was at the
So
VGA.
it was
Yeah.
3 years ago we saw an announcement for it, and we've seen absolutely nothing for 3 whole years. And if we don't see anything in December, then it'll be 3+ years that we've seen absolutely
Oh, you'll
nothing
be waiting.
from Perfect
Bro.
Dark. No gameplay, no CGI sizzle reel, no nothing. It's just a title drop and an
Did you
announcement.
hear what Daryl Gallagher said? The guy that heads the
Mm-hmm.
initiative. Remember how we talk about how Matt Booty need to get a little backbone, get a little spine with these students. I think
Of course.
found one because Daryl Gallagher said he's been quoted as saying it was cool to watch the showcase as a fan because his studio wasn't there, so it was good to kind of see what all the other studios are doing and kind of see it from a different perspective. But if he don't hit his deadlines by next year, he might be looking at the next showcase really like a fan. And I was like, I mean, he said it like a joke, apparently, but like that kind of tells you where they at now.
They ain't playing.
Maybe they not playing no more with y'all. Hey, look, we done spent a lot of money out here. I don't care about your excuses no more. You need to go get the job done. I'm gonna find somebody that's gonna get the job done. I'm gonna hire Agent Deli to come in here and get this Perfect Dark Tomb Raider wannabe game out.
Speak. Go ahead, Luca.
I would do Rise 2 for
Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Without the quick time stuff.
Yeah, like better combat.
Yeah, because that game looks interesting. I never played it. But I like that. I like the setting.
It was all right.
Yeah.
It was all right. I think it would hit on
go
all
ahead.
cylinders currently in like the current gaming environment. I think it would do wonders, and I think that with the current technology and stuff like that, I think that and current, I guess, design innovations from like competitors and just other games in general in the third person area, I think that Rise 2 would do wonders in the current landscape.
Yeah, my one last thing is with Xbox turning into the Western, RPG box. This was part of one of my predictions that I thought that they, would just like pie in the sky thing. That one more thing for me would have been something like Lost Odyssey or Blue Dragon, something to showcase what.
Bastard, I was going to say that.
Nope. Lost Odyssey or Blue Dragon, because those games, like if I can imagine, especially with them already putting this forward face of being a RPG, lover of games, that would be the ultimate way that you can like celebrate being and bringing more people in, because there's a lot of people that love Lost Odyssey. Like I loved it. It was like one of the very first DVDs or games you could buy that I think was like on 6 discs or something. It's pretty ridiculous. So that's the one I was thinking. So I'm sorry. You can take it back if you want.
No, I got another one. I got a plan B. Actual plan B, not plan B when you make mistakes. I shouldn't have said that. All right, look. Anyway, my plan B is Quantum Break 2.
I like that one too.
Hot take.
Without the TV show?
Without the TV show, but actual cinematics in game that really works, and Remedy's Northlight engine is just getting better and better, especially now when we're seeing what they're doing with Alan Wake 2. Like that is like they're kind of in their bag now, and I kind of see how they're kind of like evolving outside of just what they traditionally do. And I like the fact that Remedy is willing to take risk with their game design and do things a little differently. I would love to see them do Quantum Break justice and give it a sequel. I think the game deserves it. I really like the story, and I'd love to see it continue. So,
Oh my God, Pappy One Kenobi, shout out to you, bro. Chrome House was such a good game. I love that game. It's like a really good Met game. You did miss one, Slow Mo. Shout out to Dino Brown with the $5 super chat. He says,
I said that.
You did the one where he talked about ABK.
Oh, I didn't miss this. Oh, I saw
Yeah,
his
he did.
channel
That's fine.
membership.
Yeah.
You did, if
Yeah.
you had let him finish his sentence. Isn't that what you always say?
So he says, so Forte, what do you think about the ABK deal? LOL. Sorry, I have to do it. I heard you on Crossfire. Listen, I said it on
That
Crossfire.
was not worth listening.
Listen, I said it on Crossfire. I told him that I was like, listen, Booch asked me. I said, I'm never talking about this ever again because who cares about this deal? But since you super chatted, I will say this one more time. Microsoft, in my opinion, with ABK, the only reason this is still going on as long as it is because we all talk about the financial stability of Microsoft when it comes to Xbox in general. Microsoft's fine, but they always have to hide the revenue of Xbox behind Azura or behind all their services and stuff. It's all tied into that. It's all tied into that game ecosystem with that stuff. I think Microsoft wants to be able to separate that and basically say that this is a strong pillar, just like Windows is and everything else. And the only way they can do that the fastest, because I go back to what Phil Spencer said, it doesn't change, like ABK doesn't change their plans. It just helps accelerate them to get to their plan faster. And the thing that Call of Duty and things like the mobile scene will do and having Blizzard, that would allow them to basically bring in so much revenue into Xbox itself, because this revenue will fall under Xbox. It wouldn't fall just under Microsoft or under just the gaming. It would fall under the gaming division. Then you will be able to see.
You're being real long-winded about it.
Listen, then you will see. No, listen. I said I'm not doing this again because I'm only doing it because he's super chatted. This will just give them the ability to basically say, look, Xbox is really strong. It's holding on its own, and they don't have to hide it behind this cloak and dagger of games as a service and everything like that in Azura. I think that's the reason they're holding on to this as long as possible, because Microsoft's not going to just let this go, because that's the only way this thing is going to end if Microsoft just walks away from it. All right, Donnell, that's the last time you're going to hear me talk about it.
This month, if the way things go on with FTC and everything.
If Microsoft walks away from it, it will. It won't end. It won't end because they're blocking it. It will end because Microsoft says we're going to pay the $3 billion and walk away from it.
No. The FTC is trying to file an injunction because they were trying to close.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah.
And so that forced it into federal court, which accelerated the process, which is probably the reason why they did it in the first place.
No, they want it. They want a resolution faster.
Yeah, which is what I want. I want it over with. So please.
Exactly.
All this stuff is supposed to happen, I think, next week or something like that? Or
thank God.
After. But get it over with, please. I'm sick and tired of this entire topic. But
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I am too.
All right. Did you give your takes on it, Deli?
Deli did.
Oh, so it was okay. So everybody did. Oh, it wasn't me. I just haven't. My biggest takeaway is
Oh wait, no. The biggest takeaway?
Yeah, just take away. Yeah.
Avowed.
Yes.
A shout out to Avowed 2024. Got a concrete, release window. It also means that I won my bet with, Death Singer, so I get a free copy of Avowed on a platform that I choose.
Oh, what did y'all bet?
Let's go.
I bet him on Scumcast like years ago, like almost 2 years ago now.
Does he even remember that?
No, he doesn't remember it, but I do.
It doesn't matter. I do, and he probably got the episode locked up so he can show it to him.
Yeah, because I was like, what was it?
Find the episode and record the audio so that when you jump on Scum on One and Singer's like, I let me try to do it, but I don't recall this conversation. Like as soon as he tries to hit you with that British nonchalance, you just go bam. Here's the audio.
Yeah, I'm on it. Oh, it's because he what was it? It was originally announced in what 2020, something like that. And he's been hyped about Avowed. He's like, blah blah blah, this and that. And I was like, hey, coming from my background and from what their website's saying, and we've talked about it extensively, I was like, I don't think it's gonna be in time for 2023. And at the time, that was, at the time it was like 2021, so it was still 2 years out. And he said I was crazy to say that it's more than 2 years out. I said it was 2024. It'll launch by 2024, or at least by the end of it. He said 2023. And so then they announced that it was 2024, and I said, look, I got a free game. So it's been 2 years. I've been waiting 2 years for this.
That's great. All right,
What if it
well,
gets delayed out of 2024?
Then
Oh,
nobody
no.
wins, but
Then
I need
nobody
them to land
wins.
2024. I don't care if it's December 31st. Brother, I'm just trying to get an Xbox Series X copy of Avowed, from signed and dated from Singer.
You know what? You probably would get it sooner than Forte sending you Babylon's
I
Fall.
never got it.
I know.
I never got it.
Forte,
What you mean you never get?
No, I never got it.
What
You
do
said
you
check your mail.
mean?
It should be there by Saturday. I said, yeah, just send me a photo of the receipt.
And they never
the
sent
photo
me a
receipt.
thing.
And then I went to my mailbox on Saturday and it wasn't there, brother.
I hear him shuffling through something. He's probably just picking up your game right now.
It's not there.
No, that is not true.
Forte, do you still have his game?
No, it's not here.
Then where is it?
Now I need to go find it. Now I'm actually looking for this receipt with the tracking number on it.
You do need to find the receipt.
I need to. I never. I'm looking for the receipt now.
Somebody else.
Why did you tell me this? This was like months ago, Deli.
I tell you, I texted Mo months ago. I said, "Hey,
wait, hold on. So why is this the first time I'm hearing from this? He said he texted you months ago.
This is not the first time. I've told you months ago. I said, "Hey, brother."
And when he sent that to me, I said,
"Let me look at my text messages with you, bro."
Send him his game. I didn't even know that he still didn't get the game.
I didn't know. I thought he would have had it by now.
No. For the audience to understand what we're talking about, Deli wanted to buy one of the last copies of Babylon's Fall. Deli loves terrible games, right? So he wanted the last physical copy of Babylon's Fall, and he wanted to play it before they shut the servers down. This was like what, last year?
It was in November.
Yeah, this was last year.
Yeah,
in September. Yeah.
So last year, Forte was supposed to send Deli Babylon's Fall from his store in November. Not only did he not send it, by the time he did quote unquote send it, Square Enix had already shut the servers.
No,
down.
it was like 2 weeks before they shut the servers down.
We're gonna shut down on my birthday.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks before.
I didn't have the game.
I was like, I need this game before my birthday in February.
And I shipped it. I shipped it months ago.
Meanwhile,
I gotta find this tracking number.
And you still did. Now, Forte, I remember you asking me, Slomo, how come you never buy nothing from me? This is why.
Wait, hold on. I shipped you got your headphones literally in 2 days.
Okay, here you go. I got it September 28th at 7:30. I texted Mo and I said, "Hey, could you tell Forte to text me so I can get my 2 copies of Babylon's Fall?" Mo responded, "Will do." I said, "I appreciate you immensely." I gave him my number, but he did not reach out. And then Mo said, "No problem, bro." And then I said, "He promised me on DPS." And then I sent boo with like 20 O's. And then Mo said, "I'll make sure to give him some crap about it tonight." And I said, "If I see him online and it's a joinable game, I will kill him." And then later that night, I did see you online on a joinable Halo session.
Now, the other side of this context. After I got done texting you, I remember this. I was in the car. I called Forte.
Oh my god!
And I was like, "Bro, are you serious right now? You still ain't sending him that game?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? Babylon's Fall. You still ain't sending Deli Babylon?" Oh yeah. This is what he told me. I got it right here.
I did. I showed it to you. I showed it on camera.
I'm gonna send it today. That's what he told me. I'm gonna send it today. Is what he said.
I will find the DPS episode in which I bring it up as well too.
I did. I gotta find
Okay.
this. I gotta find this. I gotta find this receipt and see what the hell happened to this game.
Yeah, let me look through
That
my
game is in his car.
No, it's not. It's
Yo,
not. I
yo,
swear,
It's on his
it's
passenger
not.
seat.
I do not believe you have a receipt or a tracking number until I actually see it. Actually, Deli, you can
And
tell.
and on
If
Discord, I sent you my phone number on September 22nd of 22.
hold on real quick. Forte,
Yeah.
which carrier service did you use?
UPS.
Okay, so Deli, you can actually go to UPS, sign
Yeah,
into
let
the
me-
UPS
yeah,
app,
I
and
will.
then use your address. And any tracking number that's for your address will show up there.
Yeah, I'm on
So
it,
if there
bro.
is a tracking number that Forte claims he has, it would be there. UPS, I know this for a fact. UPS will have it.
Hmm.
Is there anything you want to say differently right now?
Nothing. Just continue.
I'm just trying to-
Continue.
I'm just
I
trying
mean,
to
I
find
have
it.
I have an extra copy here that I can make sure he
I
gets.
know because
Oh,
you're
you-
supposed to send me two.
The same copy.
What I know, I sent
Yours-
I sent the
Same copy.
one.
You
I
did
sent
not
the
get it.
you're
one. I
supposed to
had
send
two.
You're supposed to send me two because I was supposed to play it with my brother.
Yeah, so I
Who
sent
else
the
would I
one.
play it with?
This is
Well, you
terrible.
couldn't. By the time I sent it, it was like it was gonna be too late.
This is terrible. It's the same copies. He's like, I got more copies.
It's not. It's not the same
Same
copy.
one.
Okay, moving on. We move on for this. I'm gonna have to send Deli a $50 gift card for all his pain
Nah,
and suffering.
You should.
You're good, bro.
Terrible customer
I
service.
might have to pay singers bet or something. Okay, oh my god, this is crazy. I love you. Matt let's move on to Matt Booty. He had a lot to say. He did an interview with I can't remember what's his last name. Stephen who? Tatello? Is that what it is?
Oh man. Yeah, that works with him. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay, that's terrible. We should be more professional. Let me go look his name up.
I like you said it's he said that's good enough that he thought about it.
Yeah,
He's
and
then
HR got his message. He said, actually, let me
I
take
think
that
it's
back.
I think it's Stephen Totello.
Yeah, isn't it with like
It's it's TOTI.
No, the name of the Axios. That's it.
Axios Gaming, yeah.
Steven
Totello.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's
Totello?
I say Totello. That's what it looks like.
No.
We're really going this hard to make sure we okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he could be watching this. You never know.
He said y'all putting a lot of effort into this. That's good.
Tilo.
That sounds worse.
Hey, that might be. Hey,
That might be it,
if
though.
That was accurately said. Then you saying that sounds worse is terrible. Look, sorry, Steven. We trying out here. But yeah, go ahead, Forte.
No. I was going to say. So he did. This is a second part interview that he did with Matt Booty, the man that actually runs the Xbox gaming division in First Party Studios. Had a lot to say when they basically asked him. He asked him a bunch of questions, basically about just the state of Microsoft when it comes to managing the 22 studios. He talked about some games in production, talking about the future of Halo under 343. We also talked about Perfect Dark and what Crystal. I like how they say they basically talk to Crystal Dynamic and not the Initiative, because Crystal Dynamic is basically the ones that's running this game. But there was one thing that really stood out in this interview that he had when he was talking about some details about absence from news from internal development, games that would also run natively on Xbox One, Microsoft's prior console. We moved on to Gen 9 and referring to the new cycle. And he also just talked about no internal team are working on any game older than Gen 8 at this point. You know, the only game
I didn't say how like people made that news. I thought that was already
the only thing they're working on that's like before Gen 9 is Minecraft. But the one thing that was really interesting,
Doesn't
and I
Sea of Thieves
always
run on Xbox One, or am I crazy?
you
It
said
does.
what? It
Sea of
does.
Thieves, yeah.
Sea of Thieves.
No,
Um,
But I would assume any new expansions would
I
have
think
to
it's-
run off of xCloud.
But
Oh,
this
okay,
is
okay, yeah.
yeah, but that's the thing. That was the one thing they're officially telling people, like, if you got an older Xbox, if you got an Xbox One X or Xbox One S, or God forbid that original VCR, they are going to still maintain support for those systems, but it's only going to be through cloud gaming tech in the future. So Microsoft, so this is their way of basically saying that we're not going to leave any gamer behind, because everybody kept saying we don't leave gamers behind. And I remember me, Slow Mo, and a couple other people on this show talking about that. Like, the only way they're going to do that is if they turn all these games and these systems into servers at a later date and allow you to play on their network, through their cloud. And there's some other things we're going to talk about, especially like with Halo and the initiative. But Slomo, when you hear that, what's your first thing that you're thinking about just support going forward? And nobody's working on old gen anymore, pretty much.
It reminds me of my week of gaming this past week while I was on vacation. And so for me, what I did when the kids were asleep, and there was just like, I'm the only one still up, I jumped on. So even though I sold my Steam Deck, and I decided to give GeForce Now a try, which is amazing, and I think it was the best decision, because I'm playing the games I want to play in a higher visual fidelity as well as frame rate. But I also couldn't play all my games that I wanted to play, and so I did have to rely on XCloud for a few games. And in doing so, I did start to kind of see like the limitations there, because it's GeForce Now is better than XCloud, but XCloud still is pretty good. But I did find that when I tried to play Halo Infinite, I felt the latency was too strong for me to be able to play a competitive game like that. So I kind of started playing stuff that was more single player, like Persona 5 Royal. Played a whole lot of that this past week. And I can kind of see that when I apply that to what Matt Booty's talking about for those games that are uh, still multiplayer, but like co-op centric, but not necessarily like competitive PvP kind of stuff. I could see someone who is still on the Xbox One X, for example, still using that and playing those games, and not feeling the need, if they only play those kind of games, to move on to at that point to more current hardware. But it's more of a stopgap, really. And where they're at right now with XCloud, again, I think it's good cloud gaming, but only for certain genres.
Right.
Right. Like I actually one night compared Fortnite on XCloud and Fortnite on GeForce Now. And on Fortnite, it was almost like spray and pray as far as like, am I gonna hit this guy that's attacking me, versus GeForce Now, where it was, I was winning matches. And at some points, even though I was playing on a trash laptop, at some points I was really kind of just like, what you want from cloud gaming is to not even be thinking about the method and platform that you're playing the game on. You don't want to think about it. You just want to think about that you're just immersed in enjoying the game. And that I could do that when I was playing Persona 5 Royal, but I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do that with like the competitive side of things. So they really, like, it's gonna work for some of their games, and it's not gonna work for some of their games, is what I'm saying.
Right. What about you, Dally?
Um, I don't know. I think you guys kind of wrapped it up pretty succinctly. I mean, I don't really necessarily play cloud gaming kind of stuff, but
Me either.
I'm glad that they're pushing it to that field, and I'm glad that they're focusing on the current gen, because, well, it's been 3 years. You should, you know, it's time to leave that old player base behind if they haven't caught up. I mean, there's more than enough supplies. There's more than enough time to catch up, and plus it takes time to cook new things up anyway, so it gives plenty of time for people to catch up. And nobody's asking for like 200 games within the first couple of years. We're just asking for a handful that really kind of pushes the current gen technology, and I know that we're going to be getting that here soon in the next couple of years. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
definitely.
mean, yeah, fair enough. Happy with
Yeah.
it.
So the next thing he had to say was talking about the teams will continue developing for the Xbox Series S, despite some rumblings from developers outside of Microsoft that its policy of requiring games for the 499X to also run on the weaker 299S can hold back projects. He said, "Is it more work? Sure." But his teams have been able to square. Is it more work? Sure. That's what he said. He's literally. That's what he said.
My problem.
That's what he said. He said, "Is it more work? Sure." But my teams have been able to squeeze more performance out of the Series S, especially
'Cause they had no
those on
choice.
their second game for the generation. They can plan better knowing where the sharp corners are. The cheaper S helps Microsoft reach more budget strapped players, is basically his response to that. Go ahead, say what you need to say.
I mean, like, what's he gonna say? We're gonna
What's he gonna
abandon
say?
all the people who bought that like less than 2 years ago? Of course, they're gonna keep supporting it. They got no choice.
I mean, he didn't deny it, you know.
He just basically pulled the
Yeah.
band-aid off on it.
From,
Was
from
like,
my time at both Ubisoft and Microsoft, I've always told you guys this. It's impossible. It will be impossible for them to let it go. It's not going to be something that they're gonna let go at all. And while I respect the diamond hands and holding on to us to the entire thing, and I love the Series S. The value proposition is great and it's fantastic. And if I had something like that 10 years ago, I would probably be a much bigger gamer than I am now. But I mean, it does come with its own consequences, and I think that we've highlighted that, both third party and first party. I think we've highlighted that time and time again. And if they're not going to let that go, then I mean, hey, what can we do, right? We're just gonna have to work a little harder, as Matt Booty says.
right.
And that's something that like I recall in previous conversations with you, Deli, that we've had before, where you talked about like first party developers, sure, they're gonna get more performance out of those games, but third party is not going to care for going the extra mile to make sure that the Series S is getting a version of their game that is pushing it the hardware to the limits and giving as much performance as possible out of it. They don't. It's not an imperative for them.
No, I mean, we had the same time to develop Watch Dogs Legion with the Series S as the Series X, so we weren't going to develop any more. We weren't going to spend any extra resources and time making a Series S specific version. So yeah, I mean, we had a year. Oh no, we had 2 years with both systems, and then of course 2 years with the Xbox or with the PS5 as well too. And we weren't going to spend 2 years making the PS5 version and then a year making the Series S version and a year making the Series X version. We were just going to make one game and then just scale it down to as proportionally as possible. And and obviously a game like Watch Dogs Legion looks way different from a game like Starfield, especially with options and everything like that. Our game runs at like 1080p 60 with a little bit of ray tracing, and on the Series S, and Starfield runs 1440p 30 FPS, no ray tracing. And so yeah, and that game is infinitely more complex than ours. So yeah, they have the time and energy to do that. Third party doesn't. So it's just one of those things where, again, Matt Booty says, yeah, it's a little extra work, and I just can't help but to laugh about that, right? Because because that means
extra
that,
work.
because Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo, they're all wonderful publishers, but they are kind of hard to work with sometimes, especially with some of the rules that that comes with working from a third party perspective on their platform. And when Matt Booty says it's a little extra work, sure, he meant that, with 100% of his soul. Oh yeah, he meant it. He most definitely was like, yeah, what's that got to do with me? And I'm like, right,
right, yeah,
you're right. Well, what can
yeah,
I do
you're
then?
right. Yeah, you write the check. All right, so Perfect Dark. Let's talk about Perfect Dark. In 2018, Microsoft said it was building a new studio called Initiative. In 2020, they released a trailer for their team's debut game, a revival of first-person shooter Perfect Dark. The game is now co-developed with Initiative and running externally with Crystal Dynamics. Nothing has been seen from this game. The initiative has lost a lot of project members since the game has been announced. Booty says a lot of the departures were amicable and came down to differences in approach to work. Regarding the game, I played builds. It looked good. I'm very excited for people to see what we're doing. You know what that tells me? This game ain't coming to 2026.
That's such a funny thing to say, though. It's like, yeah, it's a difference in work ethic.
It's a difference in work.
What are you talking about, dude?
Hey, they left on good terms. They just disagree on what it takes to make a good game. Hey,
Well, the
you know,
terms was you leave or you don't.
Right.
Those are the terms.
Hey, Luca,
Those
are you
are the
back yet?
terms.
Are you back, Luca? I wanted to hear her thoughts on Perfect Dark. Maybe she's not back yet.
It's just so,
Yeah, I don't think she came back yet.
such a funny. He's a funny little guy, man. You know, Matt Booty's a funny little dude. Says some funny things.
Oh man.
I don't think we're gonna see Perfect Dark for a while. I do think that I mean, based upon what Daryl Gallagher, jokingly said, that which, is good that he's able to smile and laugh at, like, potentially getting fired, but
Getting
it's
promoted to a customer, yeah.
right. But I think that is good on Booty's side of things. That he is kind of lighting the fire under them to get it done, because you're looking at some of these games where you look at other publishers that announce a game, and then within 2 years they're showing you significant portions of the game, or they're showing you straight up like 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay. And then you see like some of his studios that are kind of like spinning their wheels, they're kind of hydroplaning, in place, and like they're not really making any progress. He's got to start having people looking at him like, are you the guy? Like, do we need to get, after acquiring ABK, get Raw Ferguson in here and have Raw Ferguson do your job? And so when the pressure's on, he's going to apply that pressure to the people that aren't getting the job done. And so, like, I think that is something that, like, what we've seen from them in the past 3 or 4 years is something that I was concerned with back when they first started doing their acquisitions, is that they had a very a good approach to getting developers to give them a shot and think about, beyond, hey, look, we know we've been known as being micromanagers, but you have the creative freedom to make whatever you want to make. We're not going to step in. We're not going to change your culture. You are who you are. All that's great and all, but there's got to be a balancing to that. They can't just be like, we're just writing checks with zero accountability on the other side of things. There needs to be a certain level of quality assurance, and then there needs to be a level of us being good managers and making sure that you're hitting deadlines, and we're on schedule and on pace. And if we're not on pace, then we're actually doing something to figure out the solution to that. And it's, even though I wish that would have been something that they had been doing at the start, it's good to see that they are doing that now, finally, so that, like, maybe we can get some of these things on track and some of these games can get out there. We can see where they're at and actually maybe play these games before my kids go to college.
Right. All right. And then the last thing, which might be the most juiciest part, Redfall. Oh my God. So the most recent major Xbox release was critically panned, the Vampire Hunting game with critical acclaim from Arcane Austin. I feel accountable that we could have done a better job with Arcane, describing a failure to set expectations around what the game needed to be as a first-party release. On the bright side, Redfall is getting good play in Xbox Game Pass, and I'm not writing it off. It was a miss, but how much of a miss? He says, I want to support them and be able to keep working to deliver the game they had in mind. And then to the fans of Arcane Austin, hoping that the studio will stay open despite game's initial reception, that is the plan right now. They are hard at work on updates and continue content for Redfall. Slow-mo, the key word, that is the plan right now.
Yeah, and I think there was a follow up. I think I saw earlier today there was a follow up because that did not play very well with
It didn't.
with the reaction, because it's like this isn't even really a game. We found out that Arcane Austin even wanted to make, and it's just like it would really suck if that was like their last game, or that was the game that would shut them down. Like I would hate to see something like that. I hate to see studios get shut down, period. But I hate them to get shut down in this manner. But
Mm-hmm.
um, it seems that there's been some clarification that they're not in any danger, which is good, because I don't think they should be in any danger for a game that is one slip up. I mean, we got freaking 343 yet to make a complete like Halo game at launch, and you gave them a decade and a leadership in charge of a decade. That studio still ain't shut down. You give Arcane Austin one game, like come on now, like we gotta be a bit more patient with the studios to allow them to do what they are known for doing. I am kind of concerned. I mean, I like Austin's never been the kind of studio that makes the kind of games that I like, but I know like Luca here, Luca loves their games. And I would rather they got back to making the kind of games that Luca loves and a lot of people that we know love, the immersive sim stealth games that with really good stories that people enjoy, than whatever the heck Redfall was. And so just allow them to kind of like do what they do and make those kind of games would be great. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. What are your thoughts about that, Luca?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned. I if what Jason Schreier said in that article is true, and they don't even want to work on that game, I'm a little concerned that they're still working on it. Like I get the concept of not abandoning it entirely, but if they don't even like what they're working on, then what's the point of keeping it going? Like I feel like it's different than with Rare and with the Fallout 76 team and the ESO team, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But could you see that they would like at least want to make sure that they delivered on the things they said they would do, like 60 FPS mode, a performance mode, and whatever other little things like additional characters or whatever they said that they would implement in the game. I would just want to just like fulfill the promises you said you were going to fulfill, and then get out and then go make something you want to make, which like will mean hopefully you got like a skeleton crew kind of getting started on in pre-production on a new game, and then you can get your full team working on it in earnest like by the end of the year, and you can just put Redfall behind you. That would kind of make sense to me. But I
I mean,
mean, I
that's
don't know.
most likely what's happening, right? Because then you still have, like, support for the game doesn't end when it launches.
Mm-hmm.
But you obviously can't have the full studio running updates every single day, right?
Right.
So chances are there probably will be a skeleton crew of like 8 to 12 people working on it. I know when Watch Dogs Legion started, we started development alongside Watch Dogs 2, like around the same time. But the original skeleton crew that scouted out the game and did, for the locations, everything like that, with the creative director was like 6 people. So it's definitely
Mm.
possible with 8 to 12.
Mm,
Hmm.
it makes sense. So, interest of time, let's
Speed
save
the
the
process up.
yeah. As to the time, let's skip over the next two. We will talk about Embracer and the restructuring of everything that's happening over there, because I think that those studios, it's really interesting what's going to happen over there as that is happening. And we'll talk about the People Can Fly project and Microsoft putting $30 to $50 million into that. Let's just jump straight into Star Wars.
I'm gonna just
Go,
say about that
yo,
real
you can say
quick.
go. You go ahead, say something.
Real quick, I think that might be like a Gears of War collection that People Can Fly can do. They did do Judgment, so they've
Okay.
done Gears before. They're a good. They're. I think People Can Fly is a good studio. They're not like the best studio in the world, but they're a good studio. And doing a remake or remaster of a game that's already out, I think they could do the Gears trilogy justice very very well. And that will free up the coalition from not having to do like slow down, because apparently they're doing all this teaching all the other studios of Unreal Engine as well as trying to make their own games. So yeah, that frees them up from having to worry about it. And we can still like get maybe a modernized version or a more current version of some really classic games. So I think that's what I think it is. 30-50 million budget seems like something that would cost, but I don't
Like a
know.
remake?
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah,
yeah,
that's like on
something that's
the
already
lower
there.
end of AAA. So that sounds exactly like around a remake. So I support that theory, and I'm with that. And my only comments is actually more for the Embracer group. Like I'm actually disheartened and saddened to hear that people are being laid off.
Yeah.
Because one of the studios I think that got closed or shuttered or whatever, um, is actually the husband of one of my game developer friends on Twitter. And he literally just walked in the office one day and got an email that he got laid off. So I mean,
Wow.
it sucks to be in that position. Have been in that position. Um, so it sucks to be in that position, and I hope they land on their feet somewhere else.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I mean, they made sure they came, but a lot of people were wondering. I guess let's just talk about that one thing about Crystal Dynamic because they did get purchased under the Embracer Group, and they did put out a tweet thanking everybody. It says thanks to everyone for reaching out and asking about the most recent news about our partner company Embracer Group regarding the restructuring plans. We want to assure fans that there will be no impact to our continued efforts with our partnership with the initiative on Perfect Dark or our next Tomb Raider title being developed in collaboration with Amazon Games. So to
I
kind of
think,
let you know what's going on
yeah, I
there.
think their collaborations are saving them there. Personally, I think that there's
True.
too much money on the line for the collaborations, especially since I don't think they did a collaboration for the first one, and then what Eidos Montreal did the second one, um,
Yeah.
and then I think they collabed on the third one. I can't quite remember off the top of my head.
Do we think that, okay, so just real quick, do we think if Microsoft wasn't in the middle of trying to purchase Activision Blizzard, do we think that these studios it would be more of a push for those to be probably already under Xbox, especially Crystal Dynamic due to the partnerships they had for the longest? Or is that
I,
something that could still happen in the future? Because a lot of people think
It
that's in
would
the
be nice if
future.
Xbox could manage the studios they currently have.
I
yeah,
agree with that.
Before
I
looking
agree.
at other studios, because we're
I
still
agree.
waiting to see certain things from them. So I would say like they should just focus on who they have now and
Okay.
cultivating the culture and the growth there. Like there's some growing pains and some miscommunication, and it would be nice to get some positive news coming out of all those studios. So
Right.
no,
I agree.
I don't think they need to buy anything
yeah,
else at this point.
I'm against industry consolidation, and so far history has taught us that Microsoft has not had a fair, what's it called? A fair play or a good reputation with their consolidation efforts. So yeah, I'm not looking forward if any news comes out that says Microsoft picks up these other individual studios, because like Lou said, um they haven't been doing well with the studios that they currently have, and adding more to that on a global scale is not gonna remedy the situation anytime soon.
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on to the next topic. Second from last, Star Wars Outlaw gameplay impressions. Luca,
Let's
going to you.
go.
Going to you, Luca. Tell me what you thought about a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, so I am not really much of a Star Wars fan. I've seen most of the movies because my grandpa is. Um, so for like the Star Wars games and stuff, I was just like no interest there. I even tried playing the what is it, Fallen Order? I tried playing that. I just couldn't get into it. Um, oh, this looks interesting. Like I like the dark tone and the themes there, and I also enjoyed seeing the combat and the concept of choice. I don't know if it's more of an illusion or if there's going to be like genuine consequences based on your actions or what. But I think it looks pretty good, and that is something that I will be keeping an eye out on for and checking out.
I would just like to say that I think Massive is finally starting to get a little like their day in in the spotlight. They are, I think they've always been a quality studio that, because they're not owned by Sony or Nintendo or Xbox, that a lot of people in this community, I would say, probably just kind of generally have ignored them and ignored the Snowdrop engine, which is like really amazing. But what they showed at this showcase, which I think is the best showcase we've had this year, the Ubisoft 4 showcase, was they showed extensive gameplay of 2 AAA games at the same time. And I don't think we've seen anyone else do that besides Insomniac. And I think that's that's something to kind of like highlight because they like the games look good, and I think they're like I played The Division, which is a good game. They developed. I think they're a good studio.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh well, about Star Wars Outlaws, gave me a lot of Uncharted vibes with some of the gameplay. I do like what I saw from it. I'm gonna play it. So yeah.
I will be
Deli?
respectfully shaking ass for K-Bess when she debuts. So I'm cool with it. She seems cool, you know. Happy with the gameplay. I know you and I discussed privately what our gameplay hopes would be for it, and it seems like what I was asking for was delivered. So yeah, I was very happy to see the extended gameplay. Looked a little rough in a couple areas, but that's perfectly fine
Mhm.
because the game comes out, whenever, not anytime remotely soon. So I think that'll have plenty of time to polish it, and it's fine if it doesn't look like the most
It's
cutting
supposed to be
edge, top
next year.
tier.
It's supposed to be next year, but I don't think we kind of discussed that too. We don't think it's going to get because they were talking like early
Yeah, I
2024.
think it'll
That's
get pushed back later
it's
in the
gonna get
year.
pushed back. Yeah, like
But
holiday.
uh, but yeah,
Mm.
I think that as long as the gameplay is good and the concepts that they introduce are fantastic, then I think it'll be okay. And I trust in Massive. I think they're a wonderfully talented team. And yeah, what they showed off was wildly impressive. I think they beat all the allegations. I mean, like, they were talking highly of the game quite some time ago. I think last year. And come to this gameplay, we did see the open world aspects. We did see the transition into flight. We did see the hubs, the hub worlds, and they weren't tiny little huts either. They were decently sizable, as big as, if not bigger than, the ones that we see in like Forbidden West. We saw like dynamic weather. We saw great volumetric effects. I mean, like, yeah, we saw good voice acting. I think that a lot of the designs are really really cool as well too, and I think that they're really leaning into this one, and I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to say that what I saw I was quite impressed with. I was
Mm-hmm.
really impressed with, like, genuinely.
I
You know,
remember when they first announced that the Massive was making a Star Wars game, and a lot of people basically just like, "What's gonna be the Division with a Star Wars skin?" And it's like you look at this game, and I think that like, yeah, this is looks nothing like the Division. It kind of just shows how versatile they could be. That they can make a game that's kind of completely different from what people expect from them based upon their previous history, and that it could look good. I mean, we're not saying it's definitely going to be good because we ain't played it yet,
Still
but
too
it
early.
looks good.
Still too early to tell.
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. The one thing I'm impressed with is the fact that once again they found a way to make a mascot and sell a lot of plushies and dials with that
Oh,
little
that little thing is so
The
that
little
little
doggy thing,
adorable
yeah.
creature.
That
It
thing
really
is
is.
so cute.
As soon as I saw it running around, I was like, "Yep, there goes another $100 million that they're
Good
going to make
shame.
on." I think
Disney is so happy.
so happy that it's like, oh, look, it's so cute. So yeah, but yeah, but go ahead.
Well, when we're done with this topic, I have a quick question, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say the only thing I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I've been so down on Star Wars as of late. And that kind of came back with Jedi Survivor, and now this is kind of bringing it back more. I never thought that video games would be the thing that would kind of make me feel better about Star Wars, because it's always been the movies that made me feel the greatest and stuff. So seeing that they're really diving in and bringing these stories to life and making it more of a playable experience is really cool. And my favorite thing was the transition from planet to space. I saw it, I was like, yo, this is cool, I'm in 100%. And I'm definitely looking forward to whenever this game finally comes out. It's like the game that we were supposed to get 10 years ago that got canceled. That's finally coming back
13.
around. Yeah. That's what that first thing I thought. I was like, Friday. Star Wars 1313. And I was like, completely different developers and everything. But it's just the premise of what I was hoping that a Star Wars game could be in like an open area. So really, really excited to see this.
The Avatar game looks way better than it did.
It looks way better than I thought it was going to look.
I was shocked by that.
And it's co-op.
Like, oh. Right.
Yes,
I was just like,
that was a good announcement as well.
Yeah, I actually want to play it now. And when they first showed Avatar, I was like, why? Like when they first
why?
showed it, I was like, good grief.
It didn't even look good.
Yeah, but now I'm like, okay, I see what we are working with here. You know, I see what's going on, and like I said, like it's just not too many studios can simultaneously kind of do two big AAA games like this.
That's true.
Like within the same year,
they're the same size as Bungie. They're like this size studio wise as far as number of developers. They might be bigger than Bungie now. Now I think about it.
Bungie's at 750.
Yeah, they're bigger than Bungie because they were at least at 850 like a year ago.
Yeah.
So
Bungie need more people. They need to fix our PvP before they move on to Marathon. But it is what it is. Luca, go ahead and say what you want. Ask the question you wanted to ask, homie.
So you guys played the Final Fantasy demo?
Absolutely.
Straight heat.
Nice.
Straight heat. Straight heat.
Very good. Yeah, I was because I had no interest in playing Final Fantasy 16. I don't play Final Fantasy games.
Same.
But like, they were like, well, the demo's free, and I was like, well, I might as well. And I booted it up, and it is hard to keep my attention these days, like in general. But like, it was able to keep my attention, and the story was, from what we've seen so far, really interesting, very engaging characters you care about, and the ending of the demo, the story part, had me going, oh, okay.
I was really impressed with how they were able to keep all of our attention, or at least specifically you and me, with that much exposition in the beginning.
It was a lot too.
Because I was like, okay, whatever. Because I'm like, obviously as JRPG players, like we're fairly used to long cutscenes, and and if I'd rather have the exposition in the cutscenes, because if you have an NPC talk to me, I will tune out almost immediately.
Because I was definitely, eating while watching the.
Right. It's time to have dinner.
Nice ass meal,
Yeah, I had maybe there was like 30 minutes of gameplay there, but like, man, those 2 hours was quite nice. Like they flew by really fast.
It was really good, and I liked the combat. I thought it was fluid, but mostly I really like Clive. I think he is very interesting. I have a fondness for martyr type characters, and he seems like he's a really good person. At least the younger version of him. We'll see more about the older version of him. Older version of him, so attractive, that's what I like to see, good looking people in my games, but whatever. So I am looking forward to the game, and the game was gifted to me, so I will be playing it next week.
I was baffled. Sorry, go ahead, Mo.
I pre-ordered the game as well. I played through the demo last night. Really enjoyed it. It was great. Luca will probably understand what I'm about to say. I got a lot of Dragon Age Origin, the Kuzlin Noble vibes from the from that demo and from the beginning parts, because I'm just thinking about Dragon Age Origins, like this is not going to end well. I can see where this is going. I can see just like the little, like they introducing characters, and I'm like, not gonna last long. I just like it was so good though. I really enjoyed it, even though there was a lack of color there, but still it was just it was good. It was good. I really liked it. I liked the combat. You can see, like, I think that people who are stuck on turn-based Final Fantasy should be turn-based. I think they need to just get over it, because it's not going back to that. And enjoy the fact that Final Fantasy is more than just its combat system. I mean, even within the turn-based games, they always change something from game to game. It was never just a strict basic turn-based combat. There was always something that they added or changed. I remember with Final Fantasy VIII, people hated the way they did the MP in that game, if I recall. It was just always something that's different. So like maybe Final Fantasy 17 won't have this kind of DMC style of combat. You don't know. You never know. But it's just that like what is there is that you have the same themes, you have the same kind of summons, you have the same kind of characters. We know Biggs and Wedge are gonna show up at some point and die. You know Sid's gonna show up at some point. It's Final Fantasy. So just relax, enjoy the game, and stop pining over what was once Final Fantasy 2 decades ago. You want to play that? I mean, the game's on everything, even mobile. So have fun with it.
I just like I really like this where the story might be going. Again, like the ending of the demo, it went someplace I didn't necessarily expect because you don't see things that dark in most stories. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I'm very much curious about that. I like the concept of the dominance and what that may mean ultimately, and like I don't know, it's pretty good, man. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. I'm not gonna lie. Now speaking on the color thing, there are a lot of characters that could have just been, or could have thrown that diversity in there, but
Right.
because they were like characters. Because the thing of it is, people get very worried about creating caricatures, and then people get worried. Why isn't this character black enough? They're not. They're not black because everyone thinks that there's one way to be black or whatever, or a
Or
woman.
or they make a character like that. They're like, oh, so you just basically just made Mr. T with a gun on his arm. It's just
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's like I understand why they made the decision that they did, and I don't fault them for it, But there are definitely some characters where I was like, no, this could have been, but whatever. I
the
don't
captain,
actually.
the captain that was with the king. I mean, come on now.
It could have, or it could have been the two dudes that were with Clive during the section, where they were
Yeah, they
prepping
went to the
for the
village.
war or whatever. Like
Yeah.
ultimately, I don't really care. Like it's not that big of a deal to me. I care enough to bring it up, of course, and discuss it because that was part of an ongoing discussion that we had on my show. But ultimately, it looks awesome, and I'm very curious to see where the story goes because again, it went someplace I didn't expect. Like for a lot of stories carry the same kind of formula. Like a lot of things you've
Story
seen
beat.
in
Yeah.
in other forms of media, you can kind of predict what might happen. But I definitely just didn't expect what happened, just because most people tend to shy away from that kind of stuff in media. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. It was I booted it up and I was sitting there because I was waiting for it was an update for Diablo, and I said, let me go download this demo for Final Fantasy. And as I was waiting for it, I just started just watching other people playing. I said, let me jump in and play now. It's only 2 hours long. Man, I sat there the whole 2 hours and played it, especially once I found out that all your progress transfers over. I was like, okay, so it's not a waste of time. And I was like, haven't been this enthralled in like a Final Fantasy in a long time, because I thought 15 sucked. A lot of people liked it. I didn't.
It was rough on launch.
Yeah, I think that's probably what, because I do know it got a lot better after launch, and then I know they had the episodes of like Ignis and everything, and a lot of people really liked those episodes and stuff. And I played them; they were cool, but I wasn't really expecting a lot out of this one. And then when I played it, I was like, man, this is kind of boring at first with all the exposition at the beginning, like you said, but then it was enthralling enough for me to be like, okay, I want to just keep, like I said, I'm just thinking 2 hours. I want to get through it, because I didn't know if Slow-Mo was going to get a chance to play it because he was still out of town. So I said, well, I definitely want to talk about it. And then I just like got to the end and I was like you, Luke, I was like, wow, I am actually really interested on where this is going to go from here, which is probably the best way that they could have ended that demo. And you got basically 2 weeks to wait until the game comes out. So, or not 2 weeks, a week.
I wish it was a week.
Yeah, I wish it was. Yeah, I wish
it came out tonight, man.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Agreed, man.
it was something. So I will definitely agree with everybody on that. So thank you for bringing that up, Luca, because I definitely didn't have that on the list. Because I didn't know how many people actually had played it. But moving over to the last thing, let's talk about Assassin's Creed. Luca, I know you put a lot of time into Assassin's Creed. You played all the new ones. I don't know how much you know about the older ones or how much of them you played.
So
But
I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan.
okay, awesome.
I've
Tell me what you
played
thought.
2 Brotherhood, played Black Flag, um, and then me and my brother actually, we would. Well, I had a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation 3, and then he's the one who had the 360, right? So I played Brotherhood and 2, and then he played Revelation, and then I didn't play Syndicate because I listen. I'm in the minority for sure. I don't like that. I don't like the naval combat. I don't like that. I don't like that stuff at all. It was like my least favorite part of 4, and that's why I didn't. That's why I didn't beat it. And so, and I also skipped over Syndicate, like I said before, and also Rogue. I didn't play that either. But then I played Assassin's Creed Origins, and I beat that. Man, what an experience. Like they really dragged out that ending, eh? So that kind of took me I was like, yeah, I think I could take a break from Assassin's Creed after that. So I skipped Odyssey, which I should play because I hear it's like the best one, right? So if, maybe eventually I'll go back to that. But then I played Valhalla, but Valhalla just oh god, it's just too long and I fell off. So
Odyssey's the same way, honestly.
yeah, well, yeah, so I like I said I even though this it looks like old school Assassin's Creed, I don't know. I'm gonna wait for the game to come out and maybe I'll put it in my back burner, but I'm not interested as of right now. Oh, and three. I played Assassin's Creed 3. Didn't like Connor all that much at all. Actually, Connor was an awful protagonist in my opinion. He was just insufferable in my opinion. Like, very much a we can't do this, but like bro was killing people, whatever, right? Um So that also kind of turned me off too. But I do like I think Ezio is the best in my opinion. I really like Bayek as well. But I tried to play Assassin's Creed 1, but I just couldn't go back to that, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I find the concept of Altair to be interesting. I would play a remake of Assassin's Creed 1. I think that would be fantastic. So, I think the new guy's name is what, like Bossum or something like that, or do you guys know what the new guy's name is?
Oh
Uh,
yeah, Basim.
go ahead.
He's from
Basim?
the last two. He's from the last. He's an NPC in the last couple of games.
Okay, well, cool. Like, I think that's pretty cool for people who were aware of that and stuff. But I'm not interested right now.
What about you, Slow Mo?
I'm not an Assassin's Creed fan. I'm not really much into like stealth kind of like elements, immersive sim kind of games. So like, the previous style of Assassin's Creed, I never got into. I did give Odyssey a shot because it was more open world action RPG ish, but it was just way too big of a map, way too much. It was like the Ubisoft. No offense, Deli, but the Ubisoft formula on
Wait,
Overload. It was
what? I'm not gonna take offense. I don't care.
yeah. For example,
I
like,
don't think I haven't heard that 25 million times.
but it was just like sometimes it's like it's okay in spurts, but like I remember the first time I opened up that map and I was just saw all the icons everywhere. I was just like, no. It was just a big no for me, and I was just like, I can't do it. This is just way too much stuff to do. And even speaking with like our friend Maslin beat Odyssey, and I can't remember the exact hours, but he said it took him well over 100 hours to beat it. And if I'm not like thoroughly enjoying the gameplay loop, I know that I'm not going to enjoy 100 hours of that gameplay loop. So it's not really for me. This one isn't really for me, but I do like the fact that they're kind of going back to their roots and giving people who appreciated that style of the game those kind of games again. I kind of hope that Ubisoft kind of does both. Like they do more of like the newer open world action RPG Assassin's Creed games while also still making these kind of games that the old school Assassin's Creed fans also enjoy too. If they do both, I think that would be satisfying both both demographics. For me,
Hmm.
Lost Crown. I'm gonna play that though. That looked cool. I like that one. So yeah, I'm gonna give that a shot in January when it comes out. But
Okay,
not this one.
not this one. What about you, Deli?
The last one I played was Unity. I skipped everything else because I was like super disinterested in it. Um, so I may. I mean, they said it's returning to its roots. From what I've seen, it doesn't feel like it's too returning to its roots. I feel like it's closer to 3 and 4 than it
Mm-hmm.
was 2. But I'm willing to give it a shot. I have just kind of mentally checked out of Assassin's Creed for almost a decade now, um, with Unity. So this may be a time where I come back and I evaluate the story and enjoy myself. But I most have been kind of reading the lore and kind of enjoying myself. A YouTube gamer, as you guys say. Um,
YouTube gamer.
because I'm just not interested in sinking hundreds of hours into both Odyssey and Valhalla to kind of catch up. And that old school era of like having an actual mascot outside of the Animus was much more
Mm-hmm.
appealing to me. Plus with all like the the biblical Christianity themes for it, I think that was much cooler of a grounding. And this new stuff, I just again, it's just kind of, I'm definitely one of the old school purists, kind of old school, not a lot of tools, a high stealth kind of stuff. So when I saw the teleporting on screen, I basically was like, nah, no way. They basically just ripped that straight from Splinter Cell, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
willing to give it a chance. We'll see what happens. I can always have my opinion change, and I'm always happily to admit that my opinion was changed.
Yeah, I haven't played since the first Assassin's Creed, and this isn't probably going to be enough to change it because I just have this thing about if the first one turns me off, I just pause. I just don't have interest in the next one. This one, they all keep looking cool and they all keep making me want to be like, I want to jump in, I want to jump in, but and plus I'm just not really interested in playing anything that's going to take me 100 hours to beat. It's already bad enough. Starfield already got me contemplate doing it. And then I got Diablo that's making me do it. And then Destiny already passed that by 10 times over. So I just don't know if I want to jump into something that massive again. So we'll see the closer we get to it. I mean, if any game is going to get me to go back into it, it is closer to the Assassin's Creed that I actually did like in the beginning. I just couldn't bring myself to start them up because I didn't want to play the first one, and those were kind of all tied together when it came to like the first 3 of them all the way up to Brotherhood and everything. So that's kind of where I sit on it. But
Yeah, I would say they're loosely tied 1 through 4, the numbered ones, obviously.
yeah.
And then the last 3, I think. So this one, including Mirage, is a prequel to Basim's story,
Mm-hmm.
which is obviously he's an NPC in the last couple games. I'm not going to ruin his role in the games. Um, but this one, if anything, would be the best place to start if
Right.
you're going to pick it back up.
Cool. Well, with that being said, first of all, I want to say thank you to like I believe it was like close to 57 people we had here. Really appreciate all you guys coming through. Please hit the like button before you leave the show. And I definitely want you to follow these amazing people that we have on this podcast with us today. First, I want to say thank you to the homie, the Ashley Luca. You know, she's up way past her bedtime. She's doing it because she loves us. Her 2 sons. Please let everybody know where they can find you, what you got going on your channel, and what you got going on in the future.
Or what? Or what? She got 2 sons?
Yeah, thanks
She
for
heard.
having me. Had a great time.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Great time with the boys. I am gonna go to bed though, so I will catch you guys later.
Yeah, have a good one.
Later, Luca.
Thank you, Luca.
All right, peace.
Deli, a homie, the man, the myth, the legend, next to Slow Mo. What you got going on? Where can they find you? And all that other jazz.
You can best find me on twitter.com. I do have a YouTube channel where I occasionally stream things. But it's not. I'm just so sporadic with the content. I would not suggest anybody like follow if they want like consistency. It's just not a thing over there. But over on Twitter, there is. So it's twitter.com/Agent Deli, youtube.com/Agent Deli. All my socials are like that. And then what's on the horizon? I've just been watching a lot of movies lately. I haven't been playing a lot of games, which is kind of obscene because I do have a backlog. But I am planning to finish Forbidden West. I'm on like the last two missions. And what else? That's the only game that I'm looking forward to finishing at right now because I already beat Redfall. And so yeah, after that, probably just play a lot more Call of Duty Season 4. The huge overhaul to Warzone's DMC is been breathing a lot of life into the game, so I'm excited to dive into that. And I don't know, whatever's on the horizon. It might be Final Fantasy 16. To be honest with you, that demo kind of sold me. So, and it doesn't look like too long of a game. I think it's like 30 hours.
Yeah.
I haven't seen an official length posted yet, but I'm ballparking around 30 to 40 hours, which is like pretty average for a lot of the games that come out nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. Before you go, I definitely want your opinion on this about Redfall because you said you beat it.
Mhm.
Honest assessment: how is it once you get past? If you could get past all of the bugs and everything, is there a game under there that people really truly can enjoy?
The second portion of the second map, a lot of people don't know that there's a second map because frankly, a lot of people and reviewers just didn't make it that far. Um, but the second map of the game has a lot of what Arcane Austin is known for, and just
Interesting.
Arcane in general. So there's like horror elements, there's great puzzles. The open world is a little bit better. There's a lot of lore, and the character. One of my favorite storylines was a nurse, was a Vietnamese nurse. Nurse Tran inside the game, and he helped deliver. There's a mission where you defended a hospital while he was delivering somebody else's child. And that interaction, like within after that mission, and then inside the home base, um, the other characters interacting with him, um, was a lot, a lot brighter of a game than it was the first half of the game because the first half of the game is
That's
very dull.
interesting.
It's very
Yeah.
boring. It's very lame. Um, it's pretty cut and dry. I feel like the first portion of the game was actually what they finished to push it out the window, and then the second portion of the game is more in line with what they wanted to make. Because there was this really, really awesome like like audio visual puzzle that was going on, and it was just like to enter the second area. It wasn't even like a boss fight or anything. It was just like a really cool horror experience, and that was pretty awesome. And then there was a boss fight that was like really creative, really fun, really exciting. And some of the set pieces were quite good, and a lot of the levels were very well designed, very densely packed, and of course, very intensive with the lore. It's just you didn't see much of that in the first or at all in the first half of the game, which is kind of depressing. So if you guys do actually end up making it to the second half of the game, you guys will see a little bit more life. Whether or not the game changes that much fundamentally, no. So if you had a hard time wading through the first half, then I would suggest the second half probably won't redeem the entire game. I think that there's just some really cool concepts in the second half, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be enough to turn the tide or be like, yeah, this game is a 10 out of 10 or whatever.
Yeah, I
Right.
actually stopped right before the second. Like I stopped where you have to, in order to unlock the second area, you had to kill the underbosses or whatever of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was just like I can't just go fight them. I gotta go unlock the
Uh,
safe house,
I cleared the
do the
safe
special
houses
mission, and
as I
then
found them, so
yeah.
that's why I just was able to waltz through. Um, but like I said, the second half was just really, really cool, really, really neat. The first half was just kind of like whatever. It just felt like fodder.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't like it. And it was kind of really, really tough to continue playing, but I just figured I was going to beat it. But there are, surprisingly, the second half, there are a bunch of hidden side missions. and a lot of the side missions are very deep in the lore. And again, it was definitely one of those like, this is the Arcane game that I was expecting, and this is the Arcane game that I got. It's just that, yeah, it was just hard to. It's hard for a lot of people to get there, and I have a couple achievements actually on my Xbox account that less than 1% of people have gotten.
Mm.
So I'm genuinely surprised how thorough I was with the game, because I solved like, I did every safe house, every side mission in the first half, and then I tried to do it. I did do every safe house in the second half, but I was missing a lot of hidden side missions. Um, and there's a lot of cool set pieces that you can miss as well too. But I think I got like 3 or 4 of them, and the 3 or 4 that I got were really awesome. And one puzzle I was stuck on for probably about an hour, and it was a really really complex puzzle. And like I said, it's just one of those things that Redfall shined in the second half, but unfortunately, most people check out before then.
Mm.
Very true.
Good point, man. Slow-mo, please let everybody know where they can find you, what you got going on your channel, and while you're doing that, pull up your channel members so you can give them the love they deserve too.
Sure. So I'm probably gonna do, maybe if I have the time, lunchtime with slow mo tomorrow. It just kind of depends on how my day goes. There's a lot going on with the kids tomorrow, so I'm gonna try to um knock some things out, and hopefully I can actually get that done, because I haven't done one in a while, and I keep intending on doing one. I wanted to do one today, but I had to kind of take my mom to the train station, and that ended up being a whole different thing on my way back. Honey do list, honey get this, honey get that kind of stuff. Y'all know what, if you're married, you know what I'm talking about. So it's just, yeah, I didn't get a chance to do what I wanted to do, but hopefully either tomorrow or Sunday I can get that done, and we can play some games and talk some game, and we'll see what's up. As far as channel membership goes, um first of all, always want to thank everybody that is a channel member. We really appreciate you guys supporting us. Even when we are doing shows on the wrong day or whatever, just we appreciate the support, and thank you just immensely for what you guys provide for us. My channel members on this side of things is Rotario, Donnell Brown, Dex Flex 27, Vape Babe, Dragonheart Yobi, Enrique, Harky Shani, Truth Serum, Erodimus, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Game Forte, Corey Hill, Stardust Acero, and that guy Smitty. Forte? Did we lose Forte?
I thought you were pausing in between. I was giving you a second. Definitely. Well, I really appreciate all of you guys. Same thing for this side of the pond. We got shout out to Donnell Brown with the channel member, Erodimus, Deflex 27, Dragonheart Yobi, Stardust Acero, Ramon Terrell, Hallmark, Actor of the Year, Hargy Shani, Brat, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Corey Hale, Slow-mo Backslap, DJ Oros, and that guy Smitty. Really appreciate you guys. All the love and support. Back to our regular scheduled programming next week for episode 138 on Slow-mo's channel. Please join us over there. And we're gonna have a great time. And $2 super chat.
We're gonna talk about how Forte still won't have delivered Babylon's Fall to Delhi by that time.
No, I'm gonna send them out another copy. Shout out to LC with the $2 super chat. Gotta catch the replay. Keep doing what y'all do. Really appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming through, and hope you find the replay just as entertaining. And with that, we see you guys next time. Have a good week. Have a good weekend, and play some games. Peace.